WHCS Channel 29 presents Eastern Regional Finals of the Division VI Group AAA High School Football. The Hampton Crabbers versus the Kempsville Chiefs. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tim Cole, along with Bob Hintz and A.G. Womble. We are at drizzly, damp, cold Todd Stadium for tonight's game between the Hampton Crabbers, 10-1, and the Kempsville Chiefs, 7-3 of the Beach District. Bob, the weather is abysmal again. Last week we froze to death. Tonight, what do you see this to be a problem?
Well, the only thing that this is going to affect, Tim, is the handing off of the ball, controlling the ball, perhaps even on kicking the ball. Your foot may be slippery, catching the ball. Kempsville does a lot of passing. This may affect them, although they do more short pass than anything else. I look for Hampton not to be bothered as much by this because they play control football. They hand the ball off. They don't do any high-risk offense. They don't do a lot of pitching. We're going to see some things tonight with Kempsville that I have not seen since I played football, and that's a straight T backfield, a full house T backfield.
I thought you were going to say the single wing.
No. In fact, I coached a little single wing, but we'll get to that later. But they'll also move around. They'll come out in an I formation, a power I. Their quarterback and the tight end are both big. They're 6'2", 220-pound twin, I think of twin brothers. And this is going to be a very interesting game. Kempsville has not beat Hampton in the playoffs, Tim.
That's right. The last time these two teams met, Hampton was victorious in the 1985 regional finals, 25-13, a game we had the pleasure of being in attendance and doing for you. And Hampton, as you said, has never lost to the Kempsville Chiefs in the playoffs. And while we have this opportunity, Bob, let's see if we can introduce the starting offensive and defensive lineups for both teams. First of all, for the Hampton Crabbers, on offense, at center will be Williams. The guards will be Mabry and Jones. The tackles, Riddick and Mason. The tight end is Cofield. The flanker or the split end will be Hyman. He'll be alternating with Grady McLean. They'll have running back will be Mike Stefanko. Dwayne Murphy will be at fullback, and the quarterback will be number 9, Eric Hunter.
Now, Crabbers' defensive unit has been tough all along, Tim. In fact, they are the #1 defense in the state for giving up points, and they're very, very stingy. They're led by the two tackles, Wilson and Carlos, the guards, Jones and Lawrence, and Summers and Davis. The linebackers are a good group of linebackers with Carlos and Jones. The cornerbacks is Ike Billups and Hyman. The safety man is Grady McLean, and doing the kicking and the punting for the Hampton Crabbers is Mike Houston.
Mike Houston, absolutely. And the Crabbers, as you mentioned, giving up a total of 45 points in the season, and one game they gave up 16 points in that single loss to the Bethel Bruins. So without that on their record, they would have a tremendous defense as far as their points allowed, but in fact it is phenomenal, giving up less than 5 points per game.
It is that, Tim.
All right, for the Kempsville Chiefs on offense, they will be led at center by Beaver. The guards are Ward and Lazinski. Strayhorn and Kronk are the tackles. The ends are Brown and Dessou. The running back is Randall Evans, a premier running back. Remember him from 2 years ago,
yes,
as a matter of fact.
He's excellent.
Fonville, number 22, will be the tailback. The fullback is Vanderheiden, and Curtis Brown is the quarterback.
And he will keep the ball and run a lot, Tim. He is an excellent runner also. On defense for the Kempsville Chiefs, at guards, Ords and Stedham. Tackles, Olinsky and Strayhorn. The ends are Brown and Gerstein. Linebackers, Adkins and Sutherland. The backs are Crowder and Arns, and Patrick Henry is the safety, number 19.
He's an old player. He's been around for a long time. Patrick Henry coming out of retirement for this game. Let's give credit to the coaching staffs, of course. For the Hampton Crabbers, they are head by highly successful Mike Smith. He is assisted by Danny Mitchell, Alvis Mann, Walter Brower, and Steve Washington. For the Kempsville Chiefs, we have head coach Ralph Gahagan, who is the premier, the steadfast coach. He's been around long. He's in his 60s, I believe. Assisted by Tim Albert, Ed Buhuler, and George Vesprelli. And we are having at this moment the presentation of the colors, and momentarily we will have the playing of our national anthem. Both teams are coming on the field. If we have one more moment, we will quickly give you the officials for the game tonight. Well, I think we're just about set. There we go. We'll run down them real quick. Ron Cherry is the referee. Jim Martin the umpire. Ralph Coleman is the linesman. Jack Hannon is the line judge. And Dick Bowie is the back judge.
They're out of Norfolk, Tim. This is not a local crew that's running this game tonight.
And now our national anthem. Todd Stadium, Tim Cole, Bob Hintz, and A.G. Womble as we are just about set to go for the Eastern Regional Division 6 Group AAA Finals. That's a real mouthful, Bob. We should have a super ball game tonight. You know, last week, Kempsville defeated very handily a good Maury team, 34-19.
Right.
And in doing so, they really racked up some running yards, as you were kind enough to give me some information from Roy Heath.
While you're pulling that out, checking that, Tim, I just wanted to say one thing about both of these teams defensively. They both play a wide tackle 6, so we'll see similar things on defense with both of these clubs tonight. But go ahead and run over those runners for the Kempsville Chiefs. They had a tremendous offensive display last week.
Well, it really did. Curtis Brown, the quarterback, had over 100 yards rushing, as did Kevin Fonville. And then Randall Evans had an 82-yard game. So you're talking almost 300 yards on the ground just between those three players alone. So the Hampton defense will truly be tested this evening, as we have the captains for both teams meeting at the center of the field. For Kempsville, they are represented by Karim Strayhorn. Number 75 is Chad Beaver, and number 82 is Craig Brown, the other half of the tandem of Curtis and Craig Brown. And the Hampton Crabbers are represented by Sherwood Jones, number 70, and number 60 is Weymouth Williams. And this Brown team is the Brown team, I should say, the Curtis and Craig Brown. They are a team. These guys, I was just reading an article, one of the radio people here was showing me these kids consume over $160 worth of groceries every week.
I could believe that.
Big boys.
Well,
82.
and the quarterback, Brown, Curtis throws to his brother Craig, and that's his favorite receiver. But the coaching staff said that they're not real worried about the long pass, that they're more worried about the short pass with them. Now, one thing that the Kempsville, let's see, we got who won the toss out there, Tim?
All right, Hampton won the toss and has elected to kick off.
Well, actually, what they did is they deferred until the second half.
Right.
So they will be kicking off.
All right, so we saw the same strategy last week in that game with Hampton. By the way, Hampton, of course, to refresh your memory, defeated Kickingham 13-7 in probably the finest high school football game that this announcer has had the pleasure of seeing in quite some time.
That was an excellent game, Tim.
They're hard-pressed to come up to the standards of that particular game. And our congratulations again to the entire team, Kickingham, Coach Newsom and his staff, and the players just had a phenomenal season, and all the very best, and our congratulations to them. Without overdoing that terrible cliche, it's a shame one of these teams had to lose last week.
Well, a lot of people thought that those are the two teams that should be in this game, Tim, and a lot of the coaches on both sides feel that when you have two teams representing the same district, they should not play in the first round, and I agree with that. But a lot of people didn't want it to be an all-Hampton final, which would have probably very likely could have been. But now we see that the Kempsville team will be receiving the number 5, who will be kicking off for the Crabbers, is Mike Houston. we'll get to see this, the variations of what they're going to do offensively. Now they're coming out, they're going to have the wind in their face, Tim, so that's going to affect their passing if they do any passing, but I look for them to run the ball because they do have a lot of good runners on the team.
And of course I did allude to the fact that it is misting, it's wet, it's very damp, it's chilly, and on top of that there's a fairly substantial breeze going from, as you mentioned, Bob, from our left to our right or into the faces of the Kempsville Chiefs. They are in the white uniforms with the blue numerals and blue stripes. Of course the Crabbers in the red, white, and black. And Mike Houston has the ball teed up. We're just about set to go. Before I go any further, I want to be sure and thank Wayne Begore and his staff here at Todd Stadium for once again providing us with great facilities, and the field just could not be marked better. There's just no way they can do a finer job.
Well, last week I talked to the coaches last week because it was so bad, but the Phoebus coach said they kicked off twice from the 45-yard line last, because you couldn't see the lines, Tim, at all at Western Branch. So this is big time now. We're talking uptown football here with
Randall Evans, the ever dangerous Randall Evans, standing back at his 2-yard line, set to go. Mike Houston has it in the air, and we're underway. It's a squibber. It's going to be taken by a player other than Evans. That's the other rup man, number 15, is Demond Dessous, and he gets fine yardage out across the 30 to about the 33. So the Chiefs of Kempsville will have excellent field position for their first possession. One of the things that the Crabbers do very well game in and game out is their specialty teams do a fine job. That's the obvious sign of a well-coached team.
And it shows a lot of heart because you're going down there full force when you're on the special teams.
Curtis Brown is the quarterback. He gives to Randall Evans, trying to go around the left end. He's dragged down from behind, not before he gets out to about the 37. And in on the stop for the Crabbers, number 1, Antonio Hyman, along with number 42 is Todd Summers, one of the two-way players. Both of these fellas play two ways for the Hampton Crabbers.
This Randall Evans, what they'll do is in the backfield, they will move him around and shift him from halfback to halfback position just to get him the ball. And their blocking assignments are the key to where that ball is going to go. Danny Mitchell does a good job of scouting and looking at the films, and he says you can look at their blocking scheme and tell where that ball is going to go.
They've gotten the ball marked at the 38-yard line, a pickup of 4. Handoff this time, right side, nothing happening as Kevin Fonville was wrapped up nice securely by number 80 for the Hampton Crabbers, Rockman Carlos, and he never really got out of his backfield as he lost yardage back to the 35. Loss of about 3, so now the Chiefs are faced with a 3rd down and about 7, a long 7 for the first.
Well, now this is the first passing situation of the game, but also we can look for the quarterback to keep it because he will keep and run.
Big 6'6" Curtis Brown over the center, drops straight back, has time. The Crabbers get the hands up in the air. Ball is knocked away on a superb defensive effort by Todd Summers, number 42. Over on the play, again, Hyman and the ever-present number 70, Sherwood Jones for the Hampton Crabbers.
Well, that was an obvious where that pass was going to go, Tim. He was looking. The quarterback, a lot of times what happens, the quarterback will look at the primary receiver, and he did that time, and Summers watched the quarterback and come very close. If they'd been a little lower, he could have intercepted that ball.
Derek Hines will be punting from his 20-yard line. Mike Stefanko will be back deep to receive for the Crabbers. Bobbled the snap momentarily. The ball is a low kick, takes a Kempsville bounce, and is down at the 41-yard line. So the Hampton Crabbers will have great field position to start their possession, and they'll start from their 41-yard line.
And we'll see what, now we've seen the Hampton play quite a few times this year, Tim, and we know that what they like to do is get the ball and just grind it and go down the field. And Mike Smith will shuffle in ball players and will call the plays. And they have got excellent field position to start their initial drive.
They line up in the I formation. Handoff, second man through, nothing happening right in the middle of the Kempsville line, and that line anchored by number 77, Alan Orts, 6'2", 240. The tackle was right there and met Mike Stefanko for about a 1-foot loss, so the Crabbers virtually with no gain. 2nd down and 10 for the Crabbers. So it looks like it might be a long night for the running backs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's going to happen is the big plays happen when somebody makes a mistake on defense, and that's what they're looking for. Now, Hampton's got 2 wide receivers, which we haven't seen very much this year, Tim.
On the second down, Hunter wants to pass, has time, now gets pressure, and will be taken down at the 32-yard line.
Well, Tim, he just sent out 2 receivers, and it just looked like they were taking an awful long time to get into their route. And, of course, he got some pressure and is really thrown back almost a 10-yard loss on that play.
Grady McLean and Tony Hyman, the 2 wide receivers you mentioned, Bob, were downfield, did take a little extra time, and it appears that you can't give Kempsville that kind of time because they're going to smother the quarterback in that type of situation. Now, the Crabbers look at a 3rd and long.
Well, they're an excellent defensive team, too, Tim. They don't have the statistics that the Crabbers got, but you can't get here without having a good defense. So the offense won't get you in. You got to have defense also.
And we've got flags down. We may have a delay of game penalty against the Crabbers. That's the only thing I can assume, and that is, in fact, the call. So the very vocal Kempsville crowd on the other side of the field has yet something else to cheer about. And so far, on the 2 offensive possessions, neither team has been able to do much. Hampton now looking at a 3rd down and 24 for the 1st down. And an obvious passing situation. To the near side come Hyman and McLean. Again, Hunter with time, has plenty of time, now has no one open, looking around, scrambling, says, come on, fellas, get out in the pattern. And then he bounces a 1-bouncer to Hyman, very poorly thrown, and the Crabbers will be looking at a 4th down and 24.
Well, that's a dangerous pass anyway, Tim, throwing that thing back across the field like that. But there was not anybody open. You have to credit the Kempsville defensive backs with an excellent job that time.
So now the Crabbers looking at 4th and plenty. Will be in a deep punt formation. Houston standing at his 15. Gets it away. Gets a good end-over-ender kick. And Kempsville elects not to have anybody back to play the ball. To my amazement, is going to take a Hampton roll all the way down inside the 15.
I don't understand that strategy at all.
And they didn't rush the punter, so it wasn't a case of 11 men trying to rush the kick. They just chose not to have a man back. And the Crabbers, of course, benefit by 2 factors. The fact that they have the wind to their back, and the other factor, the ball gave a nice bounce for them. So Kempsville now will start from their 13-yard line. Neither team able to move the ball on their first possession. 8:20 remains in the 1st quarter.
That's understandable, Tim, when you're coming into a championship game for this region. I'm sure both teams are a little tight with the weather's got a little bit to do with it too.
Evans tries, check that, not Evans, but in fact, that's Fonville carrying the ball for the Chiefs, and he picks up maybe a couple. They'll mark the ball at the 16-yard line, so they'll credit him with 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Tim, what will happen a lot of times is you have a turnover will really turn a game around, and this kind of weather will make a turnover more apt to happen.
Brown gives off in the middle to Kevin Fonville again. Fonville crosses the 20 to about the 21-yard line. It'll be 3rd down now. The Crabbers on defense will be looking at a 3rd down and a little more than a yard.
Well, this is a test for the Hampton Crabbers. If they can stop them, then again, they can end up with real good field position because their punter, Hines, will be punting. If he has to punt next down, he'll be punting into a pretty strong gusty wind. And we saw last time he did not get off a real good punt for any distance at all, Tim.
3rd down and about 2, and now we have an official's timeout.
I see a flag down in the back there. I'm not sure. It must be
delay of game against Kempsville.
Now that's going to hurt because you have 3rd and short. Now you're going to have 3rd and long, a passing situation again. And you are deep in your own end of the field, and it really makes it tough to pass the ball. You really got to be careful that you don't telegraph where you're going to pass the ball to.
So now they've got it on the 17, and instead of 3rd and 2, we're talking 3rd and 7 for Kempsville. Big Curtis Brown over the center. Fumbles the ball on the exchange. The ball is loose, but it looks like Brown, in fact, recovers his own fumble. It looked like there was some difficulty in the fact they were trying to run the option play.
That's
Stuck
exactly
it in the belly
right,
and then pulled it back, and in doing so, that slippery ball scribbed out of his hand.
Well, and that's a high-risk offense, which in this kind of weather even makes it more risky. But the Hampton Crabbers should end up with excellent field position. They started around at 42 last time, and I see that Stefanko is only back to about their 45.
Hines is, in fact, standing on his goal line. Gets it away. The ball is blocked. Check that. It's blocked, and the Hampton Crabbers have it at the 5.
Fantastic job of blocking that ball.
Coming out of the pack, number 32 for the Crabbers, Andre Davis Jr. Until otherwise told, will give him credit for the blocked kick. But the Crabbers have the golden opportunity at the Kempsville 5.
And Tim, this is what I was talking about. Somebody makes a mistake. That's when something big happens, and somebody evidently didn't block, picked up the guy crashing in that time. So the Crabbers have an excellent opportunity here from about their 5-yard line to score.
Eric Hunter is the quarterback. He's got Summers and Stefanko. Stefanko gets the call. Middle of the line, nothing happening. Again, the middle of that line led by Alan Orts, same number 77 who stopped Stefanko on his first offensive try, is right there again. Stefanko for no gain, but the Hampton Crabbers now look at a 2nd down and goal at the 5-yard line.
And the people can hear that wind whistling. It is windy tonight. It's not as cold as it was when we was over Western Branch last Saturday night, but
it's never been that cold before. Hunter gives to Summers. Summers spins away from a tackler, is finally taken down inside the 5 at about the 3.5. And the Crabbers now having not a whole lot of success in the middle of that line. What do you think they might do here, Bob?
I look for them to go outside, off tackle, or go outside somewhere and try to pinch their end inside. They're going to take a timeout and talk about it because they're 3rd down and goal, Tim.
They've marked the ball between the 4 and the 3. The Crabbers, looking at that 3rd and goal, probably realize how important this play could be in the overall outcome of this ball game. You've got to take a break like this, a blocked punt of all things early in the game, and you've got to convert it into something in order to keep your team with the right attitude.
Absolutely,
and the right
Tim.
Momentum.
You can't come away from it. You know, when you're at first, you got 1st and goal from the 6 or from the 5. Actually, they were closer to the 5 than they were to 6. And if you come out with 3 points, that's okay. But that helps the defense a little. They say, look, we stopped them. They couldn't even take us 6 yards into the goal line. So the key here is for Hampton is to get that ball into the end zone somehow. If they can do it and get the touchdown, great, but they don't want to walk away from with nothing on it. They got to at least come out with 3 points.
I'll put you on the spot here, Bob. What would your play be here? Who would you give the ball to, and how would you do it?
I would give it to, who was that, Summers who ran that ball last week and looked so good? He's real quick when he goes around that end. So they may go off tackle around end with that thing, Tim.
Bob is, of course, alluding to Todd Summers' 41-yard run last week against Kickingham, the game winner. 3rd down and goal at the 3. It's Summers, but he doesn't get around the end. He brings the ball toward the center of the field. That more or less could have been the run for the field goal type thing that the Vikings were trying to do yesterday against Dallas. And instead of setting up the field goal, of course, they got a 24-yard touchdown. But this ball does not get into the end zone. They've marked it more or less squarely between the uprights, and we'll see a fairly accurate Mike Husted coming on to try for the field goal. The ball will be spotted at the 10-yard line, so if it's successful, it would be a 20-yard field goal.
He's got a strong wind at his back, so if they can handle the ball real well between the center and the holder.
The ball is up, and it's good.
Now that's what Hampton had to come away with something, and they did. So 3 points is better than nothing, but I know they'd rather had the touchdown here. They could have gotten it, but they just went right up the middle, and that Kempsville team is tough up the middle, Tim. They're going to have to do something to spread them out a little bit.
Of course, that brings up the problem that you have with your footing in a game like this, where the field is obviously quite damp. Todd Stadium's field is as good a field as you can have this time of year. It's just in excellent condition, but when it's slippery, it doesn't matter how good your field is, you're going to have difficulty.
That's true. But you can see now Hampton kicking off again. They got that wind to their back, so this was a smart move on Mike Smith saying, hey, we're going to defer and accept the ball the second half. We'll make our decision the second half so that we want to kick off and have that wind to our back. Now, last week, what Kickotan did was say, we'll kick off. We will defend a goal. Now, you want us to kick off, and you want to receive. And that was an excellent coaching strategy on Kirk Newsom's part.
You know, not to malign anybody, because anybody can make a mistake, but Hampton University had a similar situation. Last weekend, being a game situation where you had a lot of wind factors, they had a similar situation and elected to take the ball in the wind, against the wind, and they ended up losing their game and their championship game, and the coaching staff took full credit for a very big mistake. They didn't make it clear between themselves and the players of what the option was. All right, Houston, who just connected on a 20-yard field goal, has the teed up. Same Randall Evans back at the 2-yard line for the Chiefs.
Well, he's not going to get this, Tim. This way in the end zone, out of the end zone. Excellent kick.
All right, so that's one way to keep a dangerous runback man off of the scoreboard and out of the statistics column. They'll have it at the 20-yard line. Kempsville now has started their third possession. They had it at their 33, they had it at their 13, and now they're starting from their 20.
Well, they've had better success in running the ball as far as picking it up. A couple of mistakes. They got a penalty, it would hurt them. But they have moved the ball. You know, they pick up 2 or 3 or 4 yards a couple times, Tim. But you're down your own end zone, it makes it tough.
Brown hands off inside to, again, Kevin Fonville. Sherwood Jones in there. Check that. Make that John Vanderheiden, number 33, carrying the ball for the Kempsville Chiefs.
Well, you won't see Fonville or Vanderheiden carry that ball very much. Curtis Brown, the quarterback, will keep it, and he gets the ball, tries to get the ball a lot to Randall Evans, because those are the two main runners that the Chiefs have.
Little less than 4 on the pickup. Second down and a long 6 for the Chiefs. Again, on that same play where the fumble occurred, Brown does in fact keep the ball this time, and he'll pick up maybe a yard, maybe 2, as that play again took too much time to develop. With a defense that is as quick as the Hampton Crabbers, you can't take that much time.
Well, and that's like the old belly series that he runs off of that T formation back there, Tim. And he actually puts the ball in the fullback's stomach and rides him one step and then pulls it out. Well, you have a problem of a possible fumble and a slow developing play. If you're quick like Hampton, you can really mess that up quick.
Short of the first down, they needed 5. It looks like they've gotten 4. They had to get to the 30, obviously taking this drive from the 20. And it looks like they'll come up a yard shy on the carry. That was Randall Evans carrying for 4. And the Crabbers now will look at the Kempsville team. The team has not at this moment brought their kicking team out.
They're not going to kick. They're going to go for it.
Well, they're going to go for it. They're going to try that long count.
That could be too. They may try a cadence change here.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'll watch to see them make a timeout here momentarily. Yep. See, I'm learning these things too. You can't mess with me on this stuff.
That's out of the Hampton playbook, isn't it?
It really is. That's called, look, we'll go up there and hope one of the Hampton players gets a little nervous and leaves a little early, and we'll get a first down the easy way.
That's not a bad strategy.
We saw Hampton use it to great success in the last couple of years. There's no question that's good strategy. You waste a timeout in essence, but if it works, you've more than earned whatever you might have done.
Absolutely. At this point in the game, you're trailing by 3. Nobody's had a first down yet. You got a yard from a first down. You get a penalty, you got your first down. You got a little breathing room, and maybe you can do something. Hampton defense is very, very stingy, and we see number 44, Mike Stefanka, going back to run this ball. We'll see what kind of a kick he gets. And, of course, the Crabbers did not put a real big rush that time, but they had 2 men right in there and blocked the punt.
You know, on the other side of that coin, now you go up there on a 4th down and 1 like that, and you take a long count, and you hope the other team jumps off. By the same token, the next time you go up there looking like you're going to do the same thing, you go on a quick count, and you very possibly might catch a team kind of, halfway napping. So
John, they might need a coach here someplace. That's
no,
excellent.
thank you.
That's excellent, Tim.
This is a lot easier up here. I wouldn't have a coaching job for all the tea in China. Standing at the 15, Hines into the breeze, gets a low kick. Takes a Kempsville bounce. It looks like it will not be returned as Stefanko continues to retreat, and now the Crabbers will start from their 35. And they've had, again, good field position for their 3 possessions. They started the first one on the 41 after a similar type of kick. Then they got it on the 5 on the blocked punt by Kempsville. And now on a 4th and a yard, Kempsville kicks it, and Hampton will start from their 35, just across the 35.
Well, let's see if Hampton Crabbers, the coaching staff, has done any adjustments early in this game to see if they can break one of their runners, and because we have seen them pick up 5 and 6 yards at a crack, and tonight they have not been able to pick up anything.
Hyman and McLean come to the near side. Out of the eye. Hunter on first down wants to pass. Throws it over the middle. Oh my goodness, he had a man open, wide open. Grady McLean III was open at the 45 of Kempsville, but the ball was simply thrown behind him, and Hunter had plenty of time. So it was just a case of just poor execution.
Right, he was not rushed at all. And Tim, sometimes I think I alluded to this last week, that one time when you have the wind at your back when you pass the ball, sometimes the ball will sail on you, may go overhead, but he just actually just threw that ball behind the receiver, and Grady it wasn't a man within 5-6 yards of him.
And again, first of all, I wouldn't have the coaching job. Secondly, I wouldn't have a quarterback's job tonight because the ball is damp, it's misting out, and now we have a penalty being marked off against the Crabbers.
Must be a holding call. Yep, that's what he's calling, Tim.
All right, so the Crabbers will get the down over, but they'll look at an additional 10 yards tacked on to their first down situation. So it's 1st and 20, and the Crabbers will be just across their 25. So the incomplete pass was not really even relevant. And again, in all honesty, Eric Hunter is working with a tough situation with a very damp football tonight.
And this is something we haven't seen Hampton do much, is pass the ball. They'll run it like that.
Todd Summers gets some yardage. First time the Crabbers have looked like they've been able to get a little bit of running room. He carries it across the 30 to about the 34, so he gets back a fair chunk of the 10-yard penalty. He picks up about 8.
But Tim, they went off that time off the left side. They have been running off the right side all night. That's the first time I've seen them go to the left, and they found a nice big hole over there.
A minute 24, the clock moving here in the first quarter. We've got one score. That's a 20-yard field goal by Mike Houston, and the Crabbers lead 3-0. Referee calls for a fresh football. They will be passing the ball back and forth on the sidelines to try and keep it as dry as possible. It's not pouring out here tonight, but certainly this mist is just as effective. Hunter on the draw, gives to Stefanko. He's got some running room right up the middle. Mike Stefanko all the way down to the 30-yard line.
They went all the way down to 35, Tim. That was an excellent call. That was like almost a delay or a draw.
The draw play, as a matter of fact, it works perfectly for the Crabbers. They go all the way down to the 36-yard line of Kempsville, and the Crabbers have a first down inside of a minute to go in the first quarter. Remind you, there you see Mike Smith, the successful head coach of the Hampton Crabbers, calling in some offensive plays to his team. He does, in fact, call the offensive plays.
Well, they've got to hurry up because they blew the whistle quick, and he doesn't want to get another 5-yard.
Stefanko, left side, hit by number 73 of Kempsville. That would be Thomas Stedham. If I could digress for a minute, these two big players for Kempsville, Curtis and Craig Brown, the quarterback and the defensive end and also offensive end, were Hampton residents. They grew up with Mike Stefanko. He remembers playing with them as a young boy.
And he was looking up to him at that time, too, I bet.
He really was. He's a full foot shorter than either of them. Them both ranking it at 6'6" to 5'6" Mike Stefanko. Last play of the quarter, 4 seconds. Hunter is taken down on the sack. Back there for Kempsville, Chris Atkins, number 52, was in the backfield and put the sack on the Crabbers. That is the end of the first quarter as the referee holds the ball over his head. They've marked the ball at the 42-yard line, so they'll flop to the sides of the field. And we're going to go, speaking of flopping on the field, we're going to go down now momentarily to our roving reporter on the sidelines, A.G. Wobble. And I think we're about set. Here we go.
We got Denby Patriot coach Matt Boone. And Matt, your thoughts here on the first quarter?
Well, I think the weather's going to be a determining factor on the game. Hampton now changed the quarter. They're going to have going against the wind, but first quarter they used the wind and got 3 points in the kicking game. And I think
this is Crabber weather, and
definitely Crabber weather. Definitely Crabber weather. They're gonna stick it to the ground, and
rest of the game outlook on your part.
Going to go back and forth.
Hampton all the way. I think Hampton is too quick for Kickertan. I'm sorry, Kempsville. Kempsville has a powerful team, but they're not quick. And Hampton's much quicker than they are.
All right, Coach Boone from Denby Patriots. All right, Tim and Bob, now back to you. Up there where it's warm.
All right, thank you, Bob. Bob, I'm going to tell you, AG did yeoman's work not only last Friday night, but last Saturday night as well. That man was down there in frigid football weather. He did a super job with those interviews, and keep them coming, AG.
Doing an excellent job. Excellent job.
12 minutes to go in the first half. Second quarter just about to start. Crabbers have it at the Kempsville 41. Hunter on the draw. The ball comes loose, and Kempsville's got the football.
Those plays will really hurt you. Number 77 for the defense came up with that team with Alan Orts for guard on defense, come up with the ball.
Well, actually, he knocked it loose, and Karim Strayhorn, number 72, in fact, was the man who jumped up off the ground, and he has the fumble recovery, so the Crabbers turn it over. Now Kempsville will have the wind at their back for this quarter, and they'll start this possession from their 45. Curtis Brown, number 11, is over the center.
They're in the best field position they've had tonight.
On the draw play, this is 22, Kevin Fonville, and Fonville picks up maybe a yard. In on the stop for the Crabbers, number 55 is Jefferson Lawrence, and number 65 as well in there was Muhammad Carlos. So again, 1 yard pickup on the draw play.
Well, we've had 2 turnovers, Tim, one on a block punt and one on a penalty, and of course Kempsville hopes that they have a chance to cash in on it.
Second down at 9. Brown keeps, then throws out in the flat, reversing his field. This is Dessou. Dessou gets away from one would-be tackler and is driven out of bounds at the 45. A superb effort on the part of Demond Dessou to pick up yardage for Kempsville.
He did that. He should have been tackled over near the side. He got away, and then he missed. 3 people missed him on this near side, Tim. That was an excellent run on his part.
You just won't see the Crabbers miss tackles like that very often. That's one of their trademarks of a good defense, no question about it. And the Crabbers just could not quite grab a hold of the slippery Demond Dessou. And Dessou picks up close to a first down. It will be marked just shy of the 45 of Hampton. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches away from the first down. So a big third down in inches for the Chiefs.
And that was a broken play, Tim.
Big Curtis Brown gets plenty of yardage for the first down. He drags 3 or 4 Crabbers with him. And he's got the first down inside the Hampton 40 at the 38-yard line.
When you get that big, Tim, the way you bring them down is you got to hit them low. You can't hit them high. When you're 6'6" and over 220, you've got to hit the man down around his wheels, knock his wheels out from under it.
So a pickup of almost 7 for Curtis Brown. And the Chiefs now threatening in Hampton territory. Evans and Vanderhayden on the option. Brown still has it, and he is going to finally be dragged down close to the 30-yard line. Again, Sherwood Jones had a hold of him, and Brown is 6'6", 205, just a big, hard man to bring down.
That's just unreal how strong he is.
Oh, he dragged Sherwood Jones, who I would say is at least one of the premier tacklers on the Hampton team. He dragged him for 3 or 4 yards.
And again, you see what Sherwood did. He hit him high. You gotta know Sherwood is tough and strong, but if you're going to stop that guy, you're going to have to hit him around his legs and his ankles.
So a pickup of 7 on the option play. Brown gives to Randall Evans. Evans looking for a hole, nothing happening. The Crabbers turn the play inside, and in on the stop for the Crabbers, number 80, Rockman Carlos, along with number 60, Weymouth Williams for the Crabbers.
He actually lost about a yard on that, Tim.
Evans looks a little tentative out there. He was kind of tiptoeing around looking for some place to run, whereas the success that Kempsville's had, they go right to the hole. They don't hesitate, and that's when they've been successful.
You got a good point.
9:18 is our time remaining in the first half. Our only score, a 20-yard field goal by Mike Houston at 4:24 of the first quarter after a blocked punt The Crabbers took it at the 5 and could get no more than 3. Out in the flat for Randall Evans, and nothing happening. Crabbers all over the place. We got a flag down at the line of scrimmage, however. So Randall Evans gets a loss on the play, but we'll have to check and see who the penalty is against.
He was taken clear back to the 40, Tim. So it looked like he lost about 7 yards on that play, if that's what. And it is a holding call against the
Kempsville Chiefs.
Well, in this case, I would probably think he will decline the penalty, take the down. They lost, and this will make it 4th down, Tim.
Does, of course, depend on exactly the spot for the ball. He did have much better forward progress than they appeared to have after he was pushed back the last 3 or 4 yards.
They got him, they got him marked at about the
38 or 37.
But again, it's 4th down.
It's a loss of about 3 or 4, and you have to weigh it out whether you want to take 10 and give them a down. It looks like the Crabbers may elect to give them a down over and take the 10-yard penalty, and that's what they're going to do.
I don't know about that. I might have, it was, of course.
Now you got 3rd and 14 versus 4th and 8.
Yeah, I don't know, 4th and 8 it puts a whole lot more pressure on your team than a 3rd down does. I don't know if I would question that call. I would have called it the other way. Of course, I'm not coaching, so.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion, obviously, and I have to agree with you. Inside handoff, Randall Evans, no go, and the play works out to be virtually the same thing. They'll end up with 4th and 8.
4th and 8 anyway, and they're going to have to punt the ball because that is much too long for a field goal. In fact, they're kind of weak in the kicking department anyway. There was nobody from the other from their team that was even listed in the statistics from the other side. So they evidently haven't got a strong kicking game.
So Hines will be standing back inside his 50, and Stefanko, the lone deep man for the Crabbers, back at the 10-yard line. This ball with the wind, he gets a good one away. Stefanko will watch it go into the end zone, and they'll bring it out to the 20. So the Crabbers take a little bit of a gamble here. Both of us, of course, not coaches. We are entitled to our opinions, obviously, and I personally would have agreed with you. I would not have given them the extra down. I would have taken the 4th and 8. But
well, I was surprised at the call on Kempsville. I would have gone for a pass. At that point, you're 3rd and long. Of course, they figured Hampton was looking for the pass, but the young man is an excellent passer. Short areas, I don't mean long passes, but 10, 15 yards, he's pretty accurate. And of course, he'll try to get the ball to his brother, who is his main receiver.
There you see the brain trust of the Hampton Crabbers. Mike Smith on the sidelines, yelling encouragement to his players. And this is Dwayne Murphy breaking up the middle. Almost got more than that. He had a good chance for some yardage there and was tripped up after he crossed the 25 to the 27. About 7.
Excuse me, Tim, I don't mean to interrupt you. They've made a couple adjustments in that the blocking scheme because they're opening up holes in the middle where there was nothing the first quarter when they tried to run it. So evidently they're catching them in a different defense or something. I don't know exactly what they're doing.
And that should be enough for the first down as Stefanko carries.
Oh, yeah, he's crossed the 30 to about the 31, it looks like. And there's a good shot of Coach Smith giving Hyman the play to run in.
Hey! Flanker left, 41!
Oh, flanker left.
Coaching all the time. Man has done so well with the Hampton Crabbers over the years. You have to wonder where these kids keep coming from. They do a tremendous job year in and year out. Stefanko dives over the middle, out close to the 35.
Well, I was talking to Coach Smith earlier in the week, and he gives a lot of credit to his assistant coaches. Tim, they've been with him quite a while, and they know what he wants. They know his philosophy. He doesn't have to stay on top. You don't have new coaches coming in, which is tough. You got new players coming in. So if you keep the same coaches, that really helps solidify what you're trying to do offensively and defensively. And he'd be the first one to tell you that his coaching staff's got a lot to do with his success.
Little more than 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. Nothing happening. Stefanko is roughly treated as he meets the middle of the Kempsville defensive line, and he is tossed backwards for a loss on the play.
I don't know if that was that Stefanko on that?
I think that was actually Dwayne Murphy on the play.
Yeah, number 40.
Or was that Summers?
Summers, yeah.
You know, I have this problem every game. 42, 43. There comes Stefanko off the bench, so obviously it wasn't him.
They're all about the same size, and they're all excellent runners when they get the ball. We saw Summers last week up here put a move that just almost defies description. That was an excellent run.
41-yard game breaker against the Kecoughtan Warriors, one they'll remember. This is Stefanko breaking up the middle across the 40 to about the 43. Another first down for the Hampton Crabbers.
Tim, I don't know if you remember or not, but we watched Summers do basically the same type of a move in one of the games at Darling Stadium, and he tripped himself and fell down. And Coach Smith says, oh, no, I thought he was going to trip himself again on about the 5-yard line, but he didn't. He did that 360 and got it into the end zone, which, of course, was the difference in that ball game.
Ball marked at the 43 of Hampton. First down for the Crabbers. Clock continues to move. 5:25 to go in the quarter. This is Summers spinning away as he crosses the 45 to about the 46. In on the stop for Kempsville was big number 83, and that is James Kirstein, along with number 66, Emery Olzinski. So the Kempsville Chiefs now trailing by 3. This game not unlike what we really had anticipated. Both teams moving the football, but the defenses have come up with some big plays. From the 46-yard line, this is Stefanko. Stefanko quickly across the 50 down to the 46 of Kempsville, close to another first down.
I was going to say, it depends on where he marks that, how close that's going to be to a first down, but I've noticed that Kempsville has changed their defense, and are now in a 7-man front. They have a man right over the center, and then they put the 2 linebackers right over the heads of the guards, and then they're stacking outside on the tackles and the ends because Hampton does a lot of running out on the tackles. And but I tell you what, they're weak up the middle when they do that, because we're seeing some good yardage picked up by Summers and Stefanko and in there.
Another first down for the Stefanko. Looking for a little running room, gets maybe a yard or 2. The line of scrimmage is the 46, and they'll mark it at the 44. So Stefanko picks up 2. And the Crabbers right now are electing to just grind it out. They're just simply going against that wind, and they're electing to stick to the ground, the game that got them here.
Well, they're not noted for a passing team, although they got confidence in Eric Hunter. He's got a strong arm. He's just a junior, and he's been fairly accurate, but tonight he hasn't been real accurate with his passes.
Mike Stefanko puts his head down, but nothing happening as the Kempsville Chiefs are waiting for him. In on the stop for Kempsville, 29, Reed Sutherland was there, among others, and pickup of maybe a yard on the play for Stefanko. Stefanko last week, of course, had a great game against Kecoughtan, 106 yards on 29 carries, averaging a little more than 3.5 yards per carry. And now we've got an official's timeout charge to the Hampton Crabbers. So the Crabbers will take a breather here, and this will give me an opportunity to mention some of the pairings that are going on this weekend for the Division 6. Of course, this game pitting the 7-3 Kempsville Chiefs against the 10-1 Hampton Crabbers. In the Northwest region, Woodbridge is playing Fuqua. They're 9-2. They were victorious over Osborne Park 20-6 last weekend. Woodbridge got to the finals by beating Pulaski County 17-6. The top team in the state right now is T.C. Williams, and they won easily over Robinson last week, 27-7. So they will take on a big rival in their section of the country, of the state, Annandale, who's 8-2 after being 8-3 after beating West Potomac 23-20. So T.C. Williams and Annandale in the northern, Highland Springs and Mills Godwin in the central, Fuqua and Woodbridge in the northwest, and Hampton versus Kempsville in the east. And those are the finals pairings. And of course, what will happen is the winner of this game will take on the winner of the Woodbridge-Fuqua game.
Right, and while we got a moment, Tim, we might let the listeners know that this game will be played on Channel 20 NWHCS on Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. and Friday morning at 9 a.m.
Third down and long. Hunter wants to pass. Got a man wide open at the 30-yard line, down to the 20, down to the 15.
I tell you what, Tim, they had that. They had 7 men plus 2 line, had 9 men up on a line of scrimmage looking for Hampton, and Eric Hunter stepped back and did an excellent job of finding his tight end wide open.
Brian Gerzak comes up with the big catch at the 30-yard line, takes it all the way down to the Kempsville 14.
Well, they sure caught him in the wrong defense that time. They were looking for that run, and of course, when you have success, as Hampton does running the ball, the quick pass like that to an end is really will get you with your guard down.
I'm telling you, that's why Mike Smith is year in and year out successful. He knows what to call, when to call it. Inside the 10 goes Mike Stefanko, down close to the 8-yard line. 2:35 remains in the first half. Hampton on top 3-0.
Well, I tell you, Tim, it's really good when you call a timeout and you come back from a timeout and you pick up about 30 yards. They evidently getting some good help with the spotters up here. The coaching staff that are spotting up here for them kind of let them know that there was a weakness down there.
There you see the cheerleaders, the ever-present Hampton cheerleaders cheering their team on. 2nd down and 5. Left side, Stefanko inside the 5, down to the 3. And the Crabbers now will be close to another first down situation. I believe they do have the first down. It is a 1st and goal at the 3-yard line.
And Tim, we only got 2:05, so they have kept that ball and moved it from their 20-yard line and have moved that all the way down now to inside their 5 down to the 3. It's marked right at the 3-yard line.
There you see from our sideline camera, you can see very clearly.
Excellent shot. That's young Sam Still Jr. down there on the sideline.
Left side, touchdown! Dwayne Murphy from 3 yards out. The Crabbers go on top 9-0.
I tell you what, once Hampton gets a little momentum going, they're going to be tough to stop. Kempsville is really going to have to put the ball up in the air or start doing something different, but they move that ball 80 yards, Tim, with no mistakes, and that is tough to do in college and in the pros, is not make a mistake when you have an 80-yard drive. That was excellent with the Hampton Crabbers.
On a wet and cold field to boot.
Some excellent calls by the coaching staff.
Houston's kick is long enough, and it's true. The Crabbers go on top by the score of 10-0. An 80-yard drive, capped by a 3-yard drive by Dwayne Murphy, and that ball was superbly played by the Crabbers. The one thing I don't have on this drive is the time of possession, but it had to be easily 7, 8, 9 minutes.
I don't either, but we have a statistician that will probably give us that. Don Lancaster is doing the statistics up here, and we'll have that at halftime, so we'll be able to give the fans how long it took that excellent drive.
Well, the Crabbers show you how you're supposed to do it. They take the ball at their 20 and flawlessly can move down the field. The big play, the pass from Hunter to Brian Gerzak, setting up the touchdown. He got the Crabbers down into a first down situation at the 14 of Kempsville. Stefanko carried for a couple of tries, and then Dwayne Murphy capped it with a 3-yard dive off the left side, and the Crabbers are on top 10-0, and we're 1 minute and 46 seconds away from halftime.
Well, you can just see, Tim, I'm looking up here looking at lights, you just see this mist just going across the field. It doesn't look like it's moving quite as fast as it was earlier, so the wind may have dropped down a little bit, which will be an advantage to Houston kicking into the wind.
And in fact, he will be kicking to probably Randall Evans. Evans expecting a long kick by Houston. He is back at the 1-yard line. Hampton Crabbers engineer a picture-perfect 80-yard drive to go on top 10-0. This is a short kick taken at the 15 by one of the up men. He's got some running room across the 30 to the 38-yard line. The ball carrier on the kick, number 19, was Patrick Henry.
He did an excellent job on that, Tim.
Big Patrick Henry comes back to return the ball out to the 38. Kempsville now with 2 timeouts remaining, 1 minute 33. The clock is moving.
And I look for them to put the ball in the air, Tim. They got to get down to at least where they maybe can kick a field goal or something.
By the same token, you don't want to get too carried away because you've got a whole half of football in front of you. Fake pitch, handoff inside, goes to Kevin Fonville. Fonville crosses the 40 to about the 42. They'll mark it just shy of the 43.
Excuse me, number 80, Carlos, hit him in the backfield, slowed him down a little bit, but he did still picked up, looks like he picked up about 4 yards on that, Tim.
They actually give him close to 5 on the carry. It'll be second down and a long 5 for Kempsville. Kempsville trailing 10-0. The Crabbers on top, looking to go to the state semifinals. Fake by Brown, wants to go long, has a man downfield, and is going to be picked off by the Crabbers. Antonio Hyman at the 20-yard line to the 30. A flag is down. We're going to have a call against the Crabbers, but nonetheless, it will belong to the Hampton Crabbers.
Oh, that was an excellent block, Tim. I don't know how they could call that clipping, but there was 2 flags thrown in there, and I was watching him, and he was turned upfield, and the guy hit him from the side, which he could do. And, of course, that's going to take the Crabbers back half the distance to the goal line, so they'll probably start from about their 15-yard line. But with only 32 seconds, I'm sure they'll just run the clock out.
So Antonio Hyman picks off the errant pass. That pass very poorly thrown. It was more or less a Hail Mary pass, but I just have to be surprised that this team would get into a panic type situation where they'd be tempted to throw that. I was just going to say before that play that I kind of looked for Kempsville just to kind of try a couple of things, maybe a couple of fakes, but nothing really tricky or certainly nothing that's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I was very surprised, especially with the pass, with the wind like that, but you know Hampton is looking for the pass, and you throw that kind of a pass when you're in the last quarter and you got your last you really need it.
So the Crabbers want to take a timeout. Mike Smith is going to come out on the field and talk to his team. As you said, 32 seconds remain. Take nothing away from the Crabbers. They have played the ball superbly. Hyman was right there for the interception, and he was there to take the ball back. Unfortunately, on the run back, the Crabbers are charged with a clipping penalty. So instead of having it at the 40-yard line, they will have the ball at the 15, but it's fairly academic. I don't see the Crabbers certainly doing anything to jeopardize their chances of going in at halftime 10-0.
No,
we're going to have some halftime interviews, I understand. A.G. Wumble is going to be down there.
I think he may have Kirk Newsom, Kickintan High football coach, did an excellent job this year. First year at Kickintan as a head coach, and he brought in a new one of the assistant coaches, Mike Horton, and just took that program and just did an excellent job with them, getting them into the playoffs. And I think that's one of the guys I know that he's going to interview, and I don't know who else he's going to interview. We're coming back out. It looks like the Hampton are going to, I don't look for them to do anything silly, Tim. I really don't.
Well, he's going to do what we figured he would do, really. He's going to interview a cheerleader from Kickintan High School. What do you figure this man here? Leslie Bailey is going to be his interviewee. 27 seconds.
He's always got the gals. I tell you, he's got a real tough job.
Oh, okay, I got it right. I'm getting see, now I figured this out. I took hieroglyphics in high school. Leslie Bailey, the Hampton cheerleader, is going to be his first interviewee. There you see the time, 8 seconds. The Crabbers in no hurry. And then we're going to have that interview you alluded to. They're going to have a coach with Coach Kurt Newsom will be interviewed. And that is your half. The Crabbers let the clock run out. They didn't want to do anything to jeopardize their 10-0 lead at halftime. Kempsville has done well in the first half to move the football, but the Crabbers have gotten the scoring. A 20-yard field goal after a blocked punt. The Crabbers converted it at 4:24 of the first, and then a 3-yard dive off the left side by Dwayne Murphy with 1:46 to go, an 80-yard drive, and the Crabbers are on top by the score of 10-0 at halftime. And I hope you'll stay with us for a moment as we're going to have an interview on the sidelines. We've got AG is more decked out for the weather tonight than he was last week. I'll guarantee you that.
I tell you, he's not as cold as he was last week. That was frigid with the wind chill factor. It's about 0. It's not 0 out there tonight, Tim. It's a little damp, but it's not 0.
Well, AG, I see him down at the sidelines. It looks like he's got himself a Hampton High School hat on. So
no wonder I couldn't spot him. He's got that red. Looks like what do you call those red-headed woodpeckers?
Well, he's got a red hat. I'm not sure what it is on there. Yeah, I believe that's a Hampton High School hat. So his impartiality just went right out the window here. He's going to interview some of the Hampton cheerleaders, and then he will have an interview with the Kickintan coach, Kurt Newsom, who we have mentioned numerous occasions had a great season. AG, if you're ready, we're going to go down to you now, and you're going to have an interview with a couple of Hampton cheerleaders.
Crabber cheerleaders, and you are?
Samia.
What's your thoughts on the first half?
I really think that came out and we were really psyched up and we're doing a really good job.
All right, who's this young lady?
Ingrid Hawkins.
Is this cheerleader weather?
No, it's not, but we're doing pretty good.
Okay, what's going to happen in the second half?
We're definitely going to score more, and they're not going to score anything.
Okay, is this wet weather, Crabber weather?
That was fun for them, but not for the cheerleaders.
Okay, not for the cheerleaders. Okay, good luck in the second half then.
Thank you.
All right, Tim, Bob, we're going to have Leslie Bailey out here in a moment, former Crabber who's now with the Virginia Tech Gobblers.
All right, AG, thank you, and you are once again on the spot. He's, last week he wasn't quite as warmly dressed, and I think he paid for it in the long run, as we were in frigid territory last week. Back down to AG now. Who you got down there, AG?
All right, we got former Crabber Leslie Bailey now with Virginia Tech. Leslie, first your thoughts on this first half.
I think the first half went great for the Crabbers, especially defensive-wise. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Guys are being disciplined, not leaving home. They stand there, and I think most of all, a big part has to do with the guys reading their keys and just doing what they're supposed to do, and they're doing it.
And A.G. Womble back at Todd Stadium. We apologize to Leslie Bailey. First of all, I apologize for saying he was the Hampton cheerleader going to interview. I wasn't sure who that was. I was getting notes from my camera person to my left here, and she does a good job of camera work, but she's not a great writer. So.
Well, we can forgive her for that. She has on big heavy gloves, too.
And a pen that won't write because it's wet. But AG, again, we apologize. We had a tape situation that we ran out of tape during that interview with Leslie Bailey, so we thank him for his time and hope that he goes on to big and great things at Virginia Tech. And before the half is over, we do hope to have Kurt Newsom, the highly successful coach of the Kickintan Warriors, down at halftime. But right now, we're going to take a break. We'll be back at Todd Stadium with more of the finals of the Eastern Regional AAA Group Division 6. I knew I was going to blow that thing sooner or later. We got more names to that thing. The Division 6 Group AAA Finals between the Kempsville Chiefs and the Hampton Crabbers. We'll be back in just a moment.
Too much cholesterol can stop the flow of blood to your heart and other vital organs. See your doctor to find out what your cholesterol level is, what it should be, and whether you should take steps to reduce it. Keeping your blood vessels clear and open is at the heart of good health. For a free booklet, write the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
Tim Cole with Bob Hintz and A.G. Womble back at Todd Stadium. The Hampton Crabbers coming back on the field for the second half. Crabbers, as you see on your television screen, the Crabbers on top 10-0. There you see some of the rain and drizzle-soaked crowd on the Hampton side of the field trying to stay warm. I was mentioning to A.G. if he wanted to have a good interview. There was a man and his wife, I assume it was his wife. Who was that woman?
We will assume that.
They were down there on the Hampton side of the field when I got here about 6:45. A full hour and 15 minutes. They were all bundled up. I'm talking umbrella and
that might be there right there.
That might very well be there. I was curious. I told AG, I see that'd be a good interview to find out what possesses someone to come out an hour and 15 minutes before the kickoff and sit out there in this drizzle and cold and rain.
That was a good interview that AG had with Leslie there that ran out, but he was talking about what the coaches and staff would say in the locker room, and I see the Hampton Crabbers are back out, but the Kempsville Chiefs hadn't made them come back out yet. I see the officials coming back out now, but I know Cahagan is he's not saying things real softly, I'm sure, but they've got to make some adjustments, especially defensively, because when they stop the run, Hampton just come across with a real quick pass and let the fans let them in on what we was talking about, the young man that caught the pass.
Well, that's what we were talking about. I was trying to remember who or what game it was that we saw Brian Gerzak make a super catch similar to this in a similar situation, a big play. And I think it was the Kickintan game during the regular season, not the one last week now, but the game during the regular season. In a tight game, Hampton was only ahead 7-3. If memory serves me correctly, and that could be wrong, and we've done enough games that they all kind of run together after a while. But I seem to remember that Brian Gerzak came up with a big catch in the end zone, making the score 14-3, and Hampton went on to win 20-3.
Right.
And I think that Gerzak was in on that big play at that point. And he is the only pass catcher in the first half for the Crabbers. The Crabbers completed 1 out of 2 for 29 yards. Brian Gerzak was the man who caught that pass. Caught it and took it all the way to the 14-yard line of Kempsville, and the Crabbers took 3 plays after that to put it in the end zone and go on top 10-0 at halftime. They have 6 first downs. They have 23 carries for 74 yards, 1 out of 2 passing for 29, a total of 103 yards total offense. They have punted once, and just a measly 60-yard punt for Mike Houston. He got a nice roll and nobody deep to cover it.
Nobody was there, which was
took advantage of it
because he was kicking into the wind, Tim, which was really strange. I don't understand that call.
And the penalties for the Crabbers: 3 for 30 yards. They fumbled the ball once and they lost it, and they converted 2 out of 4 third down situations, and they had the ball for 13 minutes and 18 seconds. Kempsville, on the other hand, had 1 first down in the first half, something that you and I had not been really aware of. There you see the Kempsville Chiefs on your screen as they're limbering up. They carried the ball 14 times for 39 yards, completed 1 pass out of 3 attempts for 8 yards. They fumbled the ball twice. They fumbled the ball twice, but they lost it once, and they did have the intercepted pass at the conclusion of the first half. They punted the ball 4 times for a average of a little less than 25 yards. They had 52 yards return on kickoffs, none on punts. And they were penalized twice for 15 yards. They've converted 1 third down situation out of 5 possible chances. And they had the ball 10 minutes and 42 seconds in the first half. We want to, again, thank Don Lancaster here at Todd Stadium for these very valuable and accurate statistics during the first half. And again, a thanks to Wayne Begore and his staff here at Todd Stadium. We can't thank them enough for all of their efforts to make this game just that much easier to bring to you through their efforts of lining the field off. We knew we had a great field to begin with, but then going over to Western Branch last Saturday night just personified our feelings, because we went over there and worked virtually in the dark with no line markers or anything.
When you're up in the air and you're looking down at the field like you look at this one, it's got sideline markers, it's got markers in the middle at the hash marks all over. Over there they didn't have anything, and the coach and staff of FIBA said they even kicked off on the 45-yard line a couple times where they shouldn't be. Tim, I was looking at the statistics, and what's really surprising is Hampton had the ball not quite 3 minutes more, yet Kempsville didn't have but 1 first down.
Yeah, that is an oddity if you think about it. I have kept very unofficial statistics on points of possession for the teams in the first half. The Crabbers started the first time they had the ball on the 41. That is the Kempsville 41. And then they got it on the Kempsville 5 as a result of that blocked punt. And I think we're just about set to go down. Let's see, interrupt myself. I think A.G. Womble is down on the sidelines with an interview. Well, he's looking for somebody. Let me see where A.G. is. He was going to try and get an interview. Well, I understand now he's not been able to do so. So we'll hopefully have that interview we mentioned earlier with Kurt Newsom as time permits and his availability. Getting back to my point, though, the Crabbers did have it on the Kempsville 41, the 5-yard line of Kempsville. Then they had it on their own 35 and their own 20. And the last time they got on their 20, they drove 80 yards for the touchdown. Kempsville, on the other hand, had it on their 33. They had it on their 13, they had it on their 20, and then they had it on the Hampton 45, and that's when they were able to move the ball down the field with fair success before it was picked off by the Crabbers. The Crabbers, as I said, blocked that punt. You know, talk about the big play. That's going to break the game open for you. That blocked punt gave them 3 points, and so far that's all the points they need to win this game. Well, it may not turn out that way, but that was the big play.
It really is, Tim, but at that point they had the ball for 3 downs. They could not gain anything. They did not break. They did not get it in the end zone, and yet they made some adjustments, and they've caught the Kempsville Chiefs in some real weird situations as far as their defense, and have just taken advantage of it. The coaching staff just doing an excellent job taking advantage of the weaknesses of the defense that Coach Cahagan of the Kempsville Chiefs are putting on out there.
Well, I think that's where you very appropriately refer to the fact that Mike Smith gives a great deal of the credit of his team's success to his assistant coaches. And again, we want to repeat their names: Danny Mitchell, Alvis Mann, Walter Brower, and Steve Washington. These fellas do all the spotting on the sidelines, they do the special teams work, and they do the work from up here in the press box, where you can have sometimes a better advantage. You can see things developing. And you know, you watch things happen. Like you said, that play that Gerzak made, they watched a change in the defensive formation for Kempsville and took advantage of it.
Tim, I don't know if you paid attention out there. Kempsville is kicking into the wind. What wind is out there? So that means Hampton.
Well, it could be Kempsville saying, look, we want the ball with the wind in the fourth quarter. So maybe that was their option.
That could be. Hampton had the option to receive or not.
Into the wind. A good kick taken at the 14-yard line. This is Grady McLean. He's got a seam up the middle. He's got some running room. Dragged down, but not before he gets to the 20-yard line.
That was excellent run back. He found a seam in there, got some good blocks thrown by that Hampton Crabber kicking team, and the special teams just do an excellent job, Tim. I'd love to have an instant replay of that. That was an excellent run.
All the way down to the 22-yard line. What a way to start the second half for the Crabbers. There you see Mike Smith sending the play in with big, tall Eric Hunter, number 9 for the Crabbers. You saw the Crabbers coming off the field jubilantly. Grady McLean took that kick at the 14-yard line and took it all the way down to the Kempsville 22-yard line to start the second half. We talk about backing yourself into a corner. The Kempsville Chiefs have got to do something now. That's Stefanko knifing off the left side down close to the 20-yard line. Stefanko, I don't have any individual statistics for him in the first half, but I would say he had a fair number, maybe 40 or 50 yards at least in the first half.
I was saying more 60 yards, but you're probably right, because he did break off a couple of good ones, and we kind of get mixed up sometimes between Murphy and Stefanko and the other one.
Remember his name, Todd
Summers. I remember Todd. Todd does an excellent job one-on-one or one-on-two.
All right, pickup of 2 for Stefanko. They've marked it squarely at the 20. Hunter wants to pass. Second down and 8. Gets some pressure, backs up, and loses his footing momentarily. Gets away, throws the ball down. It's knocked away at the last second as Grady McLean was the intended receiver down at the 13-yard line. Check that. Not Grady McLean, but in fact that is number 87 for the Crabbers. That would be Corey Cofield, who had a big grab last week for the Crabbers. Cofield has been a clutch player for the Crabbers, not unlike Brian Gerzak's catch in the first half, the 29-yard catch from Eric Hunter to set up the touchdown in the first half. If you just joined us late, it's 11:02 to go in the third quarter. The Crabbers have it at the Kempsville 20. They lead 10-0 in the Eastern Regional Division 6 Group AAA Finals.
Oh, you silver-tongued devil, you got it out.
There you see Mike Smith and the coaching staff on the sidelines. Third down and 8. This is Summers breaking over the left side. He's going to go in close to the 4-3-2-yard line.
I think they're marking it about the 4-yard line, but that was an excellent call because they caught the defense looking for a pass, Tim.
Todd Summers with that exceptional speed. We saw him break one off for 41 yards against Kecoughtan in probably as fine a run as you'll ever see in high school or any kind of football for that matter.
Well, he had 2 men on him, Tim, and he faked both of them out. Neither one of them got him down. It was just him and 2 defenders, and he just did an excellent job on a 360. And let's go back to this play.
First and goal at the 3. Hunter gives to Murphy. Murphy, left side. No, he will not get in. Check that, the right side. Over there, along with others, was number 71, Kenneth Caffey for Kempsville. So Murphy gets it down to inside the 3, maybe about, I'd say halfway between the 2 and the 3-yard line. It's second down and goal for the Crabbers. They're trying to stretch this lead out.
Well, a touchdown here, Tim, would give them 17, and that's a lot of points to make up in a half, especially when you weren't that successful during the first half, and you know you're going against a team that does not give up many points.
Second down and goal. This is Murphy. No signal yet. Now they do. Touchdown.
Well, he was definitely in the end zone, Tim. I don't know what took him so long to call that, but he was in there.
I started to call it for him, but I said, oh, wait a minute, because sometimes from way up here it's hard to tell.
Well, I looked on the screen, and he was over the end line on the screen. I didn't want to get in your way.
9:50 remaining in the third quarter. The Crabbers, with a big kickoff return by Grady McLean, have set up the second touchdown of the game. Houston's kick is long enough, and it's true. So the Crabbers have jumped out on top by the score of 17-0 as the specialty team set that one up for the Crabbers. Grady McLean took the opening second half kickoff at the 14-yard line and drove all the way down to the Kempsville 22. Todd Summers ran 16 yards on that particular drive, and that set up the touchdown by Dwayne Murphy, his second 3-yarder of the evening, and Murphy now has put Hampton on top by the score of 17-0. Crabbers can smell that victory. I'll tell you, it's going to be tough in the second half for Kempsville. It's always tough against Hampton, but when you're behind by 2 touchdowns and a field goal, it makes it that much worse.
And if you understand that you also only give up about 5 points to 6 points a game, and that's what you're averaging, and the most you've given up to one team has been Bethel. Bethel lost to this same Kempsville team in overtime earlier in the season.
Mike Houston will tee it up at the 40. Dwayne Murphy has a pair of 3-yard touchdowns. Mike Houston has a field goal and 2 extra points, and that's the 17 points for the Crabbers. Crabbers looking to advance to the state semifinals, looking for their 3rd state championship in a row. Randall will be back standing at his 1-yard line.
Well, they're going to try to kick it away from him. They have not kicked it towards him, except, well, now it goes into the end zone, Tim, so they can't run it out in high school. So
that's
that
a real shame,
back in the 20th.
I think there's nothing more exciting than a run back on the kick, as we saw evidence of in the opening kickoff of the second half. But nonetheless, a high school rule that the ball, once it goes into the end zone, regardless of why it goes into the end zone, it can be, and in that case, it was tipped by Randall at the 1-yard line.
Well, that's a muff, or the momentum of the ball carried it into the end zone. They can't run it into the end zone.
All right, Curtis Brown, the quarterback, pitches back to Randall. Randall trying to go around the right side. The Hampton pursuit is there to limit him to maybe a yard, maybe 2 at the most. Hampton defense led by number 8 coming back over on the sidelines. That would be Anthony Billups, who had a good game against Kickingham last week.
Now that's Ike Billups. Ike does a good job, Tim. When I go over and talk to Coach Smith, Ike's working in his office when I get over there, so Ike's real good to me. He wants to get a lot of time. No, he hasn't said a word, but he's an excellent young man.
Pickup of about 1.5 yards. Second down and a long 8 for Kempsville. Brown wants to pass, has time, looks downfield, throws the ball high. It's tipped away, incomplete, as Grady McLean III had the best opportunity on that ball, and that could have been all she wrote for Kempsville, because there were 2 or 3 Crabbers around him to lead him into the end zone had he gotten that pass.
That's right. Looked like number 15, Damon DeSouza, was the intended receiver that time. The short man to the flat was open, which I believe was Curtis Brown's brother, Craig Brown.
He has been very unnoticeable so far this evening. Brown has not caught a pass. Brown has only completed 1. He'll look again. He's got some time. He's got his brother down the sideline, and the ball is thrown out of bounds, as the intended receiver, in fact, down the play was Craig Brown, the 6'6", 220-pound twin brother of the quarterback. So the Kempsville Chiefs now, with a 4th down and 8, will have to punt it into that continuingly stiff breeze. 9:30 to go, so their opportunity to do something here in the 3rd quarter. They chose to have the win in the 4th quarter, we assume, and that might be just a moot point.
Well,
by the time you get to the 4th quarter,
you're going to have to score at least 17 points tonight just to get back in the game.
Hines standing at his 11, gets a low kick, not particularly long. Takes a Kempsville roll to the 50-yard line and a little across. So the Crabbers will have great field position on this possession. They'll start from their 50. They started from the Kempsville 22. And they'll start right at midfield here in the second possession of the second half.
And you saw that time Coach Smith talking to Eric Hunter, number 9, and give him the play to go in and run. And I tell you, it's nice to start where you don't have that your goal line right in your back pocket.
Hampton sends 2 wide receivers to the near side. Hyman lines up, and a couple of yards behind him is McLean. Right in the middle of the line, Dwayne Murphy, nothing happening there. Dwayne Murphy, who has a couple of touchdowns, gets little or nothing on that play.
We haven't seen Hampton come out with 2 wide receivers very much this year, Tim. They'll send 1 wide receiver out or I mean, split an end out or something, but they won't normally send a flanker and a split end at the same time, and they have done that quite often. In fact, that's what they started off doing tonight. And I know what they're trying to do is spread that defense out, but when they played from their tighter formation, they have been very, very successful.
Grady McLean, of course, is their top receiver. 2nd and 10. Over the middle, he's got McLean inside the 30 at the 28. As sure as we talk about it, McLean, who had 10 grabs on the regular season, check that 10 games, he had 15 catches for an average of 28 yards per catch.
Well, he got close to his average that time, Tim, but he was wide open. He's just running a square in or a what they call a post route, and is wide open. And I have talked with some of the coaches, and they said that they were not real impressed with the defensive secondary that Kempsville has, and I can see that they have not put any pressure on the receivers tonight.
First down for the Crabbers. Hunter wants to pass again, leading by 17-0. Throws it in the end zone. He's got Hyman open, a touchdown!
Oh, nobody even got close to Hyman.
18
That's
yards.
Unbelievable. And the receiver on the other side of the field was wide open, but not in the end zone.
Hyman, a 28-yard pass reception in the end zone, 7:47 in the third quarter, and the Crabbers are looking to blow this game open. They lead 23-0. Hunter just lofted that ball in the corner of the end zone, and Hyman was there sure-handed for the touchdown. Houston will kick it. It's long enough. It's true. So the Crabbers now jump on top 24-0, and you got to be amazed to see them doing this with this great of an ease.
Well, and Tim, they've got the win at their back. Again, I know what Cahagan figured it was going to be a tight defensive battle, and he wanted to have any advantage in the fourth quarter. But when you come out and you run a kickoff back to the 20-yard line, and you go in and score, and you get the ball at the 50, and about 3 plays you score again. I mean, Hampton is not out there just to make it easier for Coach Cahagan. I believe he's going to end up also again losing to the Hampton Crabbers in the playoffs.
Well, we still got a lot of time. 7:47 to go here in the third quarter, but it looks more and more like it'll be the Hampton Crabbers advancing as they have ripped this game open 24-0 on a 28-yard pass to Ike Hyman. That is Ike, right?
No.
That's Ike Phillips.
Yeah.
Get it right here. Tony Hyman.
Tony Hyman.
Okay, I'm trying to get Ike in there. I've been calling him the wrong name all night.
That's okay. He doesn't mind.
Well, Hyman, nonetheless, wide open in the end zone. As you mentioned, there were not one but 2 Hampton Crabber receivers that were, in fact, one. In fact, I thought he was going to throw to the receiver about the 10.
The short man, yeah, I did too.
But he fooled everybody and found Hyman wide open. Hyman was just sitting there waiting for the football, and the Crabbers leap on top 24-0. Mike Houston with the breeze. It seems to have subsided as far as the mist is concerned. This one's going to go to Randall at the 1, and it bounces off his shoulder pass. Now it's picked up by one of the up men, and he'll bring it out across the 20. So Kempsville looked like they were going to be in serious trouble momentarily as Randall mishandled that line drive kick from Mike Houston. But then the Crabbers had to finally put the brakes on the return out at the 23-yard line.
Well, he's better off than if he'd let it go into the end zone, but that did go right off his shoulder pads, which you don't want to happen. And there's Coach Cahagan on the other side, and I know he's scratching, he's trying to figure out what's going on, what can I do here to make a change? But I look for him to put the ball in the air. They're going to have to open up the game, Tim.
Big Curtis Brown, the quarterback, pitches it out to Evans. Nothing happening as the Crabber defense is waiting on him.
They've got that play down pat. That is one of the things that they have done all year is just a quick pitch to Randall, and Hampton has defensed that every time they've tried it. That's about the 3rd or 4th time they've tried it tonight, and I don't think they've gained maybe a yard on one carry on it tonight so far.
James Wilson was there waiting for Randall Evans after he got that pitch, and there's no gain on the play for Kempsville. They were looking to get back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 10. Fake inside, throw it out, and he can't pick it up. That ball is a loose ball. That ball's a lateral. That's a Hampton ball at the 5-yard line.
And that is a lateral. That is an excellent play made by the defensive man. Who was that, number 88?
James Wilson again. He was the man that got Evans on this side of the field moments ago. That time he was out there. Evans couldn't handle the wet football, and then it was loose and recovered at the 5-yard line.
Well, Tim, that could have been a lateral and then a forward pass off of that, and the young man just never did catch the ball. And Hampton's in an excellent position here to score again real quick.
So a first and goal at the 5 for the Crabbers. This is Dwayne Murphy looking for his 3rd touchdown of the evening. Gets the ball down close to the 3. 6:09, the clock moving here in the 3rd quarter. The Crabbers have struck very quickly for 2 touchdowns, a 3-yard run by Murphy after a great return of the kickoff, and then a 20-yard pass to Hyman, and now on a recovered fumble at the 5-yard line, the Crabbers are once again threatening at the Kempsville 3-yard line. This is Murphy on the fake. Touchdown!
He did that on second effort, Tim. He was hit twice, spun around both times, and found into the end zone. He was not to be denied.
Well, Murphy has probably got a lucky number coming into this game, but if it wasn't 3 before, it should be now because he's got 3 touchdowns, all of them coming from the 3-yard line.
There you go.
5:42 remains in the the 3rd quarter. And the Crabbers have broken this one wide open. They lead 30-0. Who would have imagined? Houston gets the extra try, and it's no good. So Mike Houston, who had been perfect on the evening with a field goal and 3 extra points, misses this one. But it's fairly academic as the Crabbers now on the benefit of the recovered lateral have it 30-0. The Dwayne Murphy, number 43, has scored his 3rd touchdown of the, that touchdown, Bob, I didn't think he was in. I thought that Hunter faked to him initially.
Well, I was watching the monitor, Tim, and he did. It looked like Hunter did a good job of faking the ball and handing the ball. Murphy went in, hit the line, spun, hit the line, spun the 2nd time, and that's what got him into the end zone. He was not to be denied getting his 3rd touchdown.
And bad news for Hampton opponents. Dwayne Murphy is a sophomore, folks. So look out in the future years as Mr. Murphy has made a name for himself throughout the year, but he has certainly done so in this game with 3 3-yard touchdowns. And the last couple of them have been real fine efforts. And the Crabbers have gone out on top 30-0. Mike Houston will have it teed up. And we'll see a different number standing deep now for the Kempsville Chiefs because they have gone now with Kevin Fonville, number 22, standing at the goal line. This is a squibber taken, in fact, by Fonville at the 10-yard line. He's got some running room up the middle. It looks like someone may have grabbed a face mask there, but no flag forthcoming. It looked like Fonville might have had maybe his shoulder pad was grabbed. But nonetheless, Kempsville is out to the 34, where they'll start. And they've got to be a little bit shell-shocked here as the Crabbers have leaped out of here in the 2nd half and put 3 touchdowns on the scoreboard.
Well, Tim, not only that, but now you have taken them out of their game plan. They cannot do the game plan that they sat and worked on all week long. They've got to do things that they're not ready to do. And that's what one thing about the Hampton Crabbers, they'll make you do things you don't want to do.
Inside handoff, not much happening there. Kempsville needs to get some big plays if they have any chance of getting back in this game.
And there's plenty of time left, Tim. It's just under 5 minutes to go in this quarter. We've got another quarter, but I just don't see the Kempsville team putting that many points on the board. Now, I don't have the statistics what they have scored all year long. Last week they scored a lot of points, but they have not. I don't believe they have blown out many teams this year.
Well, their most prolific evening was a 35-point night over Princess Anne. Pickup of about 3. Brown pitches back. This is Fonville. He's across the 40 to about the 41. So Fonville gets them out to close to the 41-yard line. Kempsville coming into this game was averaging, let's see, I've got it here somewhere, and I think they came in averaging 23 points a game while giving up 14. But the 23 points they got wasn't against anyone like the Hampton Crabbers. We've got an injured player down on the field, so let's hope for that. It's nothing serious. It is a Kempsville Chief that is, in fact, down on the field.
We've got the camera zooming in on it, but we can't pick up his number. Some people standing in the way. The official standing in the way there, but I hope he's not injured. There's a better look at him.
Yeah, I'm told it is Kempsville's number 65 who is down on the field.
Number 65 for the, that's Keith Ward, one of the guards on offense. So he's plays on the forward line, and looks like they're working on a knee or something, Tim.
All right, getting back to what I was talking about, Kempsville has the ability to put points on the board. They scored 35 against Princess Anne, as we're happy to say the injured player is up and getting off the field pretty much on his own.
It's great.
They scored 31 against Green Run, and they scored 34 against Maury, and certainly Maury was no team to take lightly. They were in the playoffs, having had a good season. But it's tough when you're behind Hampton by any score, but 30 points is almost insurmountable when you've only got less than a half of football to go.
And to give a team that has been stingy like Hampton has been this year.
3rd down and 4 at the 41. Pitch out goes again to Fontenelle. He's tripped up close to the 1st down. Over there on the stop for the Crabbers was number 80 for the Crabbers. Let me see if I can find out who that young man was. That's Rockman Carlos. And it's going to be a 4th down and about less than a foot for Kempsville, and at this point in the game, it's academic. I really think we're going to see them go for the 1st down.
Oh, they've got to go for it, Tim. At this point, they can't be messing around. And as big a quarterback as you got, if he hands it off, I'll be very, very surprised. I look for him to just take the ball and go over one of the guards, or because Hampton plays a nose guard or plays tight up in the center, so he'll just follow one of his blocking guards and go off to the side. Oh, they're going to measure now.
They are going to measure for it. It does appear to be short by a couple of inches, and in fact, they are about a foot shy. So Gahagan exercising his option in a situation to do this, and you know, he's no dummy. This gives his team a chance to take a second breath and figure out what they might want to do to get this 1st down if possible.
Well, not only that, it also gives him a chance to maybe send in another play if he's had a second thought also. But I look for a quarterback sneak here, or quarterback keeper of some sort, but I don't look for him to do anything fancy in the backfield, a chance of a fumble here, Tim.
So the Chiefs now facing a 4th down and about 6 inches. Big Curtis Brown, the quarterback, carried it on a similar situation earlier in the game, got 7 yards. He'll get more than enough this time as he crosses the 45, close to the 46. So little doubt in our minds, at least, that Kempsville would be able to pick up a few inches with Big Curtis Brown carrying the football. He had over 100 yards against Maury last week, and there's no reason to think that he couldn't pick up a couple of inches if he needed on a 4th and down. And you know,
he could fall forward and get a couple inches, Tim. Get a couple of yards. He's 6'6". But that's their 2nd 1st down of the night.
And he's gotten both of them, if I'm not incorrect. So it's a 1st down now. 4 freshmen from the 46. Brown rolling, wants to pass, throws back, and it's picked off by the Crabbers. Grady McLean at the 30-yard line. Grady McLean picks off the pass. Curtis Brown in a desperation situation. That's the toughest pass in the world for a quarterback to throw. You're going to your left, and you're a right-handed passer. You got to turn around and go back, and he just couldn't do it.
Well, Tim, he's passing into the wind, and that ball kind of sailed on him, went over the top, over the head of his the intended receiver.
So Grady McLean now has it for the Crabbers. The Crabbers will start from their 34, leading 30-0. Mike Stefanko, nothing happening as Mike is stopped for a loss back at the 29-yard line. And once again, the defensive standout for the Kempsville Chiefs tonight, Alan Orts, number 77, is there to take Mike Stefanko down. And he has been the bright spot on the defensive side of the field for Kempsville tonight. There's no question about Alan Orts, and he's done a fine job. 2 wide receivers to the near side, Hyman and McLean at the bottom of your screen. There you see a good close-up of Eric Hunter. The pitch goes to Summers, left side. Summers crosses the 30 out close to the 34. So he gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and the Crabbers now will look at a 3rd down and 10 from the 34-yard line. I want to remind everybody that this game airing Monday and Wednesday at 9 and Friday morning at 9 a.m. will be part of a doubleheader you'll see this week. Tuesday and Thursday night, you can enjoy the game between the Phoebus Phantoms and the let's see, what is it?
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson,
yes,
yeah.
you were right.
I started to question myself here.
Oh, don't do that,
No.
Tim. We're in trouble if you question yourself.
The Wilson Presidents will be the opponent for Phoebus. We got movement on the Kempsville side of the line. Nothing called, however, as Stefanko gets out close to another Hampton first down. He's out close to the 44, it would appear, depending on where they mark the football. I will go out on a limb and say it is a first down, and it is.
Tim, I'd even agree with you here. That was, I can see he's right straight across from me. I had good shot that time.
Let me tell you something, our camera crew does a great job, game in and game out. These folks get out here early in the cold and the drizzle, and are down there right now on the sidelines in nasty weather, and are doing a super job.
Oh, and then they have to eat that old fast food stuff, you know. Just feel for it. I do feel for them. They put a lot of time in. They come to set this thing up so you and I can just walk in here and call the game.
Stefanko gets the call. 42 seconds remain here in the third quarter. Hampton's got the football near midfield. They lead by the score of 30-0 over the Kempsville Chiefs. The Chiefs have not ever beaten the Hampton Crabbers in postseason play.
I'm watching officials out there. They go get a dry ball and then he throws it onto the ground so it gets wet. I mean, he could take about 4 more steps and got it to him. He must be getting tired. I don't know.
At the 48-yard line, second down and 6. Hunter stumbles, wants to pass, throws. He's got the man wide open. That's Grady McLean if it's just long enough, and it's not. He had to come back for the ball. If McLean hadn't had to stop and come back, he would have had that ball. He was wide open.
Well, and the wind held that ball up a little bit because had the wind not held it up, the defensive man wouldn't have got there in time. But the wind held it up just long enough for the defensive man to come in and make a good play and knock that away.
So McLean, if the ball had been thrown shorter and quicker, was wide open. The ball falls harmlessly incomplete at the 20-yard line, and just 2 seconds remain here in the third quarter. Stopping the clock with that incomplete pass. There you're looking into a close-up of some of the Hampton Crabbers on the sidelines. Eric Hunter, third down and 6, as you see on your screen at the 48.
And there's McLean.
He's got him wide open again. This was just thrown too high, and it's going to be an interception. A fine job on the interception for Kempsville, as that ball was just thrown over the head of Grady McLean. Robert Arns, number 17 for Kempsville, was there, lying on the ground, made that interception, and as the quarter ends, Kempsville intercepts and will have the ball to start the fourth quarter at their 23-yard line. Again, I remind you, Phoebus and Wilson, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m., and this game Monday, Wednesday at 9 p.m., and again Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Channel 29 WHCS. I would assume that the Phoebus game might be showing Thursday morning at 9 a.m.
You got it.
I've done this before. I figured this one out.
I knew if I hadn't said a word that you'd pick it up.
All right, speaking of picking up, let's see if we can't pick up A.G. Womble, as A.G. is down on the sidelines. Take it away, A.G.
Okay, this has been all Crabber game so far.
Yes, it has. We're going to beat them.
All right, Beth, did you think it was going to be this much of a point spread?
No, sir, but I'm happy it is. So.
Okay. And what about cheerleading in this tight weather?
It's all right, I guess. I'm not really cold, but the rain has just been bad.
All right, what's going to happen in the fourth quarter here?
Maybe we'll score about 20 more points.
All right, we're going all the way this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good luck to y'all. Y'all doing a great job.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, A.G., thank you for that timely interview with the cheerleaders. And you're right, it's not real cold out there, but it sure is drizzly nasty. Doesn't do great for your hairdo.
No, you can see the gals look like they've been through the shower. But
they don't care. As long as the Crabbers win, they'd stand out here in a driving rainstorm.
Well, they start jumping up and down and clapping their hands to keep warm, too. But Hampton, that's one of the few times that the pass has been overshot tonight, but Grady McLean was wide open on that pass.
Fonville to the near side, out to the 25, pickup of 3. Good defensive effort again as James Wilson for the Crabbers, number 88, continues to have his name called more repeatedly. There you see the mist as it is blowing across the screen. it's getting a little heavier as we go through this game.
I noticed that, Tim.
Mist is becoming more of a showery type thing.
Looks like sheets of mist are coming across instead of just sprinkles. It's getting a little tougher and tougher.
At the 25, 2nd down and 7, pickup of 3 by Fonville. James Wilson on the stop for the Crabbers a moment ago. This one is, again, a pitch out to Fonville. He's out close to the 28, 29-yard line. So, much to my amazement, they're really not trying to open the game up. Trailing by 30 points, you can't go with a 3rd down and a cloud of rain. You got to go with some kind of passing play.
I think it's 3rd down and a cloud of mud, Tim.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But you're right. It's under 11 minutes to go. You got the wind to your back. You got to do something. You got now 3rd and 4. You haven't been successful. You haven't had but 2 first downs all night, and that was got by your quarterback and quarterback keepers. And one was on a 4th down situation.
3rd down and 3. Brown, the quarterback, keeps. He's got the 1st down and then some. We got a flag down behind the play. A flag back at the line of scrimmage, and we'll hold it here because I'm not sure who's going to be called and what but we're going to see a holding call against Kempsville. So Kempsville kind of snake-bitten right now. They finally get a big gainer. Brown is able to turn the corner, pick up 10 or 15 yards, but it's going to be wiped out by a holding call.
Well, Tim, he's the one that has, and I watched some films with Danny Mitchell, and he carries the ball a lot in the films that I was watching, but he has not kept the ball tonight other than on the quarterback keeper. Where he's gone, that was a design play, quarterback keeper around the end, and he picked up good yardage, but again, you might think he picked up yardage because he got a hold too, so we don't know.
Well, nonetheless, the play is wiped out as the holding call will be charged to the Kempsville Chiefs, and they'll bring the ball back to the 22, where it will be a 3rd down and 10 for Kempsville. So the Kempsville Chiefs now having a tough time. There you see a couple of smiles on the Hampton sidelines. They have reason to smile. They're ahead 30-0, looking to go on to the state semifinals. Inside handoff, no go. Randall Evans has had a tough night all night long, and things haven't gotten any easier as the Crabbers have been in his pocket all night.
All night long. He has not gotten off a good run tonight, Tim, and he has been their leading rusher. They try to get the ball to him.
Officials time out as the precipitation continues to get a little heavier. The wind, which is to the back of the Kempsville Chiefs, is blowing pretty substantially. But they're looking at 4th down and about 16 now, so they have to consider a punting situation. Now we've got an official conversing with, they see Mike Smith wondering what's going on, but across the field, the referee is talking with Craig Brown, the co-captain for the Kempsville Chiefs, along with Sherwood Jones. So I wouldn't even start to speculate what they're discussing.
Well, they want to make sure that this game does not get out of hand and they start doing some things silly out there and somebody gets hurt, and they just want to keep clean game, and that was a very smart move on the officials' part. Take a real quick look here and see who that official was.
That's the referee.
Yeah, that's Don Cheery. Yeah, Don Cheery.
All right, standing at his 3-yard line with a 4th down and 16 is Derek Heinz. No relation to Bob Heinz.
No, it's H-I-N-D.
Stefanko takes it and takes the fair catch call and will have the ball for the Crabbers at the 43-yard line. So taking no chances, the Crabbers will set up now with 9:49 to go in the ball game. The rain starting to dampen some of our statistics here on the sideline.
It's really coming down, Tim.
Well, they called for heavy rain after midnight, but hopefully for Saturday night's game, of course, you're watching this game during the middle of the week, so it's academic to you, but we're hoping for a clear night Saturday night, and I heard that there's a 40% chance of rain, so hopefully we'll get lucky, and there's a 60% chance it won't rain.
Is that what it is?
Got to look at it on the opposite side of the coin there. That's Dwayne Murphy carrying the ball for the Crabbers. He had maybe a yard on the carry. He's chosen to get his yardage when it counted for points. He's only carried on 3 occasions. He's only gotten 3 yards each time, but they've been 3 yards to the end zone.
To the end zone, yeah.
Well, those are the ones that count the most.
That's right.
Clock continues to move now. Kempsville, as you often allude to, the fact that Kempsville has two opponents now. They have the Clock and the Crabbers. Eric Hunter keeps on the option. Pitches out, and it goes off the hands of Mike Stefanko. He very alertly covers the football at the Kempsville 49-yard line.
I think Stefanko didn't think he was going to pitch that ball, and he was looking to block somebody, and he pitched and hit him right in the helmet. And as things seem to go, when things going right, you know, they go right to you, just bounced right on down. And we see.
Are they watching the game, do you think? It looked to me like they might have been talking about, let's go over to Hardy's after the game where it's nice and dry, get some coffee, maybe go watch the submarine races down on the Warwick. Something like that. That would be my choice. They've marked it at the 49 of Kempsville. 3rd down and 1 for the Crabbers. They need to actually cross the 48, so it's a little more than a yard. And we've got encroachment by Kempsville. Now the question will be, did the Hampton center move to draw him offside?
I believe that was a plan. He just changed the cadence count, Tim. That's exactly what he did.
So we saw Hampton do this over the last couple of years with great success. In situations where it's short yardage, 3rd or 4th down, a regular cadence count has caused the opponents more difficulty, and this time it cost them 5, but more importantly gives Hampton 4 fresh downs to work with. Yeah, there you see
a little
the mist.
Weird, isn't it? Get wetter and wetter. The mist is coming down, and the wind seems to have picked up considerably since the start of the second half. It's dropped down a little bit, but
not much happening there. The Crabbers running laterally, and we've got a little flagrant flag throwing here. Looks like some tempers might be getting a little short.
And that's what I think the official was trying to stop, so it didn't get to that point. And I hate to see that happen. And the other team, I know they're frustrated. They've done a good job to get into the playoffs, and now you're getting blown out. It's just you hate to see teams do those things, Tim.
Well, Eric Hunter, the quarterback for the Crabbers, is coming over to the sidelines acting quite disgustedly, and I think we have got an ejected player in the form of Eric Hunter. That's what you got. Eric Hunter has been thrown out of the ballgame. You know, the PA announcer said it's against the Chiefs, but I have a feeling it's against the Crabbers because the Crabbers, well, maybe it's not. I'm confused here. We hold the horses here. Eric Hunter has very disgustedly walked over to the sidelines, and the has made some indication that there was a player being ejected. Well, unfortunately, we don't have the situation where we can find. Maybe AG could possibly find out on the sidelines.
Yeah, I hope he can. I see Coach Smith called a timeout. He's going out to find out what's happening, but I don't know why. What the reason Eric Hunter is not in there?
Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense either. If the penalty is against Kempsville, why Eric Hunter would be thrown out of the ballgame? Yeah, we're being told by.
Well, if he's thrown out, how come he didn't get a penalty? That doesn't make sense. You know, if you're going to throw somebody else, you're going to give him a quarter. It's number 7 is the quarterback in and out for the Hampton Crabbers.
Well, nonetheless, for whatever reason, the Crabbers will be without the services of Eric Hunter for the last 8 minutes and 9 seconds. Have you been able to find out what's going on, Bob?
Yeah, what happened, Tim, was that the man from Kempsville is the one that got thrown out. Eric Hunter was coming out of the ball game anyway for the substitute quarterback to go in. So,
it just must have been coincidence because and I apologize for being premature in my assumption, but Hunter was kind of dejectedly coming out. I guess he said, hey, I don't want to come out, Coach.
I want to thank Roy Heath over here for straightening us out.
That was kind of confusing because, as I said, the penalty was unsportsmanlike conduct against Kempsville, and it appeared the referee made the indication that a player had been kicked out, and Hunter had been conducting this drive all along. Well, nonetheless, the Crabbers have the ball. They have it inside the 30 at the 28, and we have a new quarterback for the Crabbers. And he's got some running room. He's taken down from behind, though, and a late flag again comes flying. And that quarterback, if this is correct, is Paul Magistri, I hope. If you check on that pronunciation of this young man, I have no idea. This is the first time we've seen him play, but it looks Magistri. Magistri, until I'm told otherwise is the
That's
name.
that's the way I pronounce it. That looks like it's going to be against the Hampton Crabbers. Looked like there might have been a holding or something in the backfield that had nothing to do with the play. The play had already gone around. But he shows some good speed, Tim.
He did. In fact, he looked like he had some running room, and then he was very, unfortunately for him, he was dragged down from behind by one of the Kempsville defensive players, or he would have gone all the way. But again, the penalty would have taken care of that anyway, as it will be, in fact, against the Crabbers. And I think you're right, it is a holding call. I apologize to number 7, Magistri, I believe is his name, and I will apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name.
But you can always call him by Paul.
Paul, number 7. So they back it out to the 42 of Kempsville.
That makes it first and like about 25 or 20, Tim.
First and 25 for the Crabbers. Clipping was the call.
Oh, it's a clipping call, okay.
In fact, clipping call against the Crabbers. Fairly unimportant at this point. The clock has restarted with 7:45 to go. The Crabbers comfortably on top by the score of 30-0. And Magistri fakes the handoff to Dwayne Murphy. He keeps it, and the Kempsville team in the form of, again, Alan Orts is right there to cover Magistri before he can go anywhere. So they've lost 2 more. And now it's 3rd down. Check that, 2nd down and 27. So the downs have remained the same while they've been losing this yardage. And now it's 2nd down and 27 at the 44. Several new numbers in the lineup for the Crabbers. Antonio Williams, number 11, sets up wide to the right at the top of your screen. Magistri mishandles the snap, and it looks like it has been covered by none other than Alan Orts of Kempsville. But are they going to, in fact, say that the Crabbers recovered? Looked like Orts got in there first, Bob.
Yeah, but it did, but it looked like 61 for the Crabbers. Kenny who is that, Murby?
Mabry.
I can't even read my own writing here. Mabry. Looked like he's the one to come up with the ball.
It's not even your writing so much as the rain has kind of obliterated some of our writing here. So the Crabbers are continuing to lose a little ground here. They get no gain on that play, but they, fortunately for them, hold on to the football. It looked like Orts might have recovered it. And again, a different number in the backfield. That is Donovan Capehart. First time we've seen number 40, Capehart, in the lineup tonight. So Mike Smith apparently has emptied the bench, trying to get some playing time for his reserves. Leading 30-0, he certainly can't be accused at this point of trying to run the score up. He's got the 2nd and 3rd stringers in there, giving them some game experience.
I think he's putting his first unit back in just as for the punting. You want to make sure you protect your punter. And so he put his first unit back in. That's a smart coaching move.
So Houston will stand back on his side of the 50. The 4th and long, and he's going to throw the ball, it appears, on the play. It's thrown up for grabs. It's intercepted by Kempsville. And we have a late flag. The ball is knocked out of the hands of the Kempsville player. That is Chris Atkins, number 52, who picked off the fluttering pass. It was not a great pass by Houston. He better stick to kicking because his pass wasn't real great.
He's a great kicker.
No question about his abilities with his foot. So we have a flag down, but I believe that flag will be after the interception occurred. So I think we'll see Kempsville take possession. We have an ineligible receiver downfield, and that's going to be refused, as Kempsville obviously wants the football, and they'll get it at their 34-yard line. So the Crabbers, with nothing to really lose, leading 30-0, and less than 6 minutes to go in the ball game, decide to try a little flea flicker, and I don't know who he was throwing the ball to, but
that was a fake punt all the way, but it was just, the ball bounced, and it wasn't a true snap back to him. He had to catch the ball on the bounce, but he just picked it up and stood right up and was looking for somebody to pass the ball to right from the beginning.
There you saw Steve Mason, number 75, on the Crabber bench. Brown has plenty of time, throws, got a man open at the 47. And then the ball comes loose, and we've got flags down. It looks like the Crabbers will have the recovery. So the catch was completed to Damon DeSue, number 15 of Kempsville.
And he is slow getting up, Tim.
He was really cracked from behind after he lost that ball. He was stuck pretty well.
Oh, he's getting up. He's getting up. That's great.
We have an official's timeout while they'll reset the chains, but it looks like the Crabbers will take back over on the interception. That the fumble after the catch reception.
After the reception, which did a good job getting the ball to him. He had a lot of defensive backs back there, ran a good route, got the ball, but when you catch the ball, you got to hang on to it because Hampton's going to hit you.
Well, it's getting slipperier and slipperier out there. The Kempsville side of the field now pretty well deserted as their fans have decided to head back to the other side of the water. And Hampton has sent a lot of unhappy fans back to the other side of the water over the last few years.
So they have that. And they've gone over that side and made them feel bad.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Magistri keeps on the quarterback keeper, gets 4 out to the 44.
You can see the stands over there, Tim. They're showing right there on the monitor. It's virtually desolate over there.
They were quite vocal at the beginning of the game, and they had every right to be. Their team had fought to get into the playoffs. You have to wonder about a comment from a coach, though, that says we're just happy to be in the playoffs. I think that's first of all, that's not quite accurate.
Well,
you get in the playoffs, you're there to win.
You're right. You're not just happy to be there. You're there to win, right? But I might have been trying to psych job for the Crabbers too, because that was in the paper over here, not on their side.
Yeah, no question that he was doing that. Just like last week before the Phoebus game, they said that the Phoebus team would probably lose 20 or 30 to nothing to Manor, and it was 30 or 40 to nothing, but it was the other way around. Magistri is wrestled to the ground and hit late. We should have a flag. I don't see one coming, but come on, folks. There's, the man is stopped and dead in his tracks, and someone else takes a crack at him. Not to mention that he was hit kind of low behind the legs there, where he can really hurt somebody.
That's all right. Just hold that ball.
So I guess there's no blood, no foul in that case. But it's all over but the shouting now as the clock continues to wind down. 3:45 to go in the ball game. The Crabbers shutting out another opponent. This will raise the Hampton record to 11-1. And as I mentioned, of course, at this moment, we don't know who their opponent will be. But it would appear, and as I understand it now, the Hampton team will not host any more games here at Todd
No,
Field.
they'll either play at W.T. Woodson, which we happened to do a game up there, a championship game a couple years ago, or it will be in the northwestern part. So it'll be one of the two places. It'll either be at, who were the two teams that they were playing? One was Fuqua or something like that, and the other one was...
Let me get my trusty sheet out here, and I can... 3 minutes, the clock moving, and there you see the Kempsville team, a lot of light-colored jerseys. See that number 77 on your screen there, though? That man, Alan Orts, has just played one superb game tonight. They're going to play either Woodbridge or Fuqua, whoever wins tonight. And Houston gets the kick away into the wind and hangs up and goes out of bounds right about the 49-yard line of Kempsville. So the Chiefs will have the ball. Well, now they line it up, and they're going to, in fact, move it into Hampton territory. So we saw the same type of kick against Kickingham.
Well, and not only that, Tim, but Kempsville had nobody back. They were rushing 11 people, so they weren't going for a run back. They were going to go to block that ball. That's what they were trying to do.
So Hampton will advance to the state semifinals. From the Hampton 49 now, Brown still the quarterback. He's still got his first team in the backfield. That is Fawnville, number 22 again. And no passes. I guess you concede the game at this point. It's just run the timeout and everybody go home and dry off.
Well, he has passed the ball, and some bad things have happened. There's been interceptions, been incompletions, and there's been a reception and then a fumble. So at this point, like you said, it's academic. I think they're just glad to get out of here with 2 minutes to go. They're ready to go back over on the other side of the water.
Fake to Fawnville, and then Brown is dragged down from behind by Todd Summers, who has done his share of good things for the Crabbers tonight. So the Crabbers now, let me look up my little statistics here, that if they aren't too totally soaked to figure out what Hampton shut out Petersburg and Phoebus and Denby and Lafayette and Warwick, and came back and did it one more time as they defeated Kempsville tonight. The final score yet to be determined, but it's a minute and 27 seconds away from being determined. Brown fakes, rolls, and is taken down across the 40 to about the 37-yard line.
And that would be a first down, and they've had very few of those tonight, Tim.
Well, in fact, if that is a first down, I believe, and it is, that would be the third first down that they have by his hand.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they have any more than that.
Well, they did on that one pass have a first down, and they fumbled. But I don't know if that goes in the books as a first down or not, because they fumbled on the play.
Yeah. Clock winding down now, a minute and 2 seconds and moving, and we will hopefully have some post-game interviews. A.G. Womble will be down on the sidelines, hopefully, so we can have some final words. Pitch out goes to Fonville. Fonville dragged down once again by Big. Number 80 for the Crabbers, and he had a word to say to Mr. Fonville. He says, take that.
Mr. Carlos.
That's Carlos, Ruckman Carlos. So he has been instrumental tonight, as has James Wilson, as has Sherwood Jones, as has Weymouth Williams. Let's give some names and credit here. This defense has done a superb job. The offense came to town too, scoring 30 points, but the defense is always tough. They set up that first scoring situation.
With that block punt, they most certainly did. So they started it off. They give the offense excellent field position.
So Brown, with just 10 seconds to go now, will put it up in the air. He completes the pass inside the 20 down to the 15. And with just 5 seconds to go, they will stop the clock and will reset the change. So Kempsville, with time running out, will have at least one more play, as they have taken a timeout.
Well, they're going to try to score, Tim. They're going to try to say, listen, we didn't get shut out. We weren't one of those statistics that you were just running off. We want to get into the end zone. But they've got one shot to do it, and you know they're going to pass the ball.
All right, we've got to take a moment here. We'll be right back as we'll return with more coverage after this. Tim Cole, Bob Hintz, and A.G. Womble back at rain-drenched Todd Stadium as we have just 5 seconds remaining. Kempsville desperately trying to get on the scoreboard before this game is over, and they've got a first down at the Hampton 13 after that pass play by the Kempsville quarterback from Brown. 5 seconds to go. They want to try and get in that score column if they can. Brown fakes, has time, looks, now has some running room. The clock has run out, so this will be the last play of the game. And no, they say the pass goes incomplete, and the Crabbers preserve their shutout. So the victorious Hampton Crabbers race out on the field. And now they say, hold everything, hold everything. I don't see a flag, Bob. But
I don't either. The only way it would be a flag and be another play is if there was a penalty on the defense.
But now they say illegal forward pass against Kempsville. So that should do it, and that is in fact the call. Illegal forward pass. The signal from the referee, the penalty declined, and the Crabbers are victorious 30-0 over the Kempsville Chiefs.
Evidently he was over the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball, Tim, and of course we couldn't see it from our vantage point. But that was the closest they've got all night long to doing anything, and you do it with the 5 seconds to go in the game. It's
there you see Mike Smith greeting the coaching staff, Gahagan and his assistant coaches from Kempsville. We'll follow Mike as much as we can. Hopefully AG will be down on the field to talk to some of the players and coaches for the Crabbers. There you see Mike Smith greeting some of the Kempsville players. And there you see your final score. The Crabbers 30, the Chiefs 0. As the Crabbers will advance. We'll try before we get off the air to find out who their opponent will be, or have you already found out?
No, I'm going to go find out if I can, Tim.
You let me do the stretching here while you go find out who the Crabbers will play. And I understand that game will be played next Saturday at the, hopefully the site we'll know before we go off the air. Again, I remind you that this game is being shown Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. and then Friday morning at 9 a.m. And we'll have yet another game for you. We'll have the Phoebus Phantoms and the Woodrow Wilson Presidents. That game airing Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. I think we got A.G. Womble down on the sidelines. Let's switch down now for A.G.
Dwayne Murphy here first. Dwayne, great game, 3 touchdowns. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on this big win here.
Well, I really think I owe all the credit to my linemen here.
All right, they did a great job.
Yeah.
All right, Eric Hunter, your thoughts on this big shutout win here? You had a lot of completions out there.
Yeah, well, you know, I got to dedicate that to my line. Steve Mason, Kenny Mabry, Sherwood, Weymouth Williams, all of them. I got to give them credit.
They're doing a great job. All right, we got Steve Mason right here. Steve, your thoughts?
I got to get to our backs. They ran hard tonight.
All right. All right, Sherwood, another shutout. I think it's the first time they've been in a shutout in something like 44 games.
Yes, Coach told us all week long that we could shut them out. We played good on offense and played a real good defense. I think we accomplished basically what we wanted to do.
This crabber weather tonight, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely. You know, crabs like to play in water, so, you know, we rose to the occasion.
Okay. All right, well, what are your thoughts on this big game?
It was a great game. I think everybody played great. The weather was great. We have to give it to some of our meat squatters because they worked as hard all week on offense, going up against our first team defense. And what we did, we came out here today, and we got the big thing. We got the big one right here. He's the championship right here.
All right, Anthony Billups, what do you got there?
I got the regional championship right here. Eastern Regional right here, baby.
All right, great job, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck. Thank you.
Tim, this was an excellent game.
Well, let's recap briefly, if we may, for you how the Crabbers did it. They blocked a punt early in the first quarter. They couldn't move the ball in after a 1st and goal at the 5, but after 3 tries, they went ahead and kicked the field goal from 20 out, and that was all the points they needed. I think AG's ready now. Let's see what you got to say, AG.
It's crabber weather, the guys were telling me.
That's what we said. Whatever the weather is, that's what we like.
Mike, I think that's 4 regional titles in a row. You have to be pleased. And a shutout, I think they hadn't been shut out in something like 44 games, I heard.
Well, I know they hadn't been shut out in a regular season game 44. They may not have been shut out in 44 games, but kids played awfully hard, you know. They played with, you know, representing the whole district tonight. And,
tough district. Matt Boone was telling me on the sideline there, that's the toughest district in the state.
Well, you know, they were talking about speed. You know, we have to play against that every week. We played against speed last week. Kickadan had a really good football team, and Coach Newsom kicked over and helped us some this week, and he's up in the booth, you know. And
I thought that showed a lot of team play there.
You know, he's coming to offer to help, and we're really pleased.
Mike, great job again, and we're going to follow you all the way.
Thank you very much.
All right, good job. Okay.
All right, AG. We thank you. You got somebody else down there you want to talk with? All right, while we're waiting for AG, we do have some more statistics for you. We have the second half statistics, actually the totals for the game. No, this is just the second half.
Just the second half, Tim, yeah.
Kempsville did have 2 first downs in the second half, so Brown, in fact, did get all 3 of their first downs.
Sure
2 of them on short yardage situations, and then carried it in the other time. They had, in the second half, Hampton carried the ball 20 times for 52 yards. They threw 2 out of 6 passes for 49. And now I think he's got a couple of players on. Let's go down to A.G. Womble.
Oh, no, sir.
All right, we got Todd Summer. Todd, you have to be pleased with this big 30-0 shutout.
Yes, sir, I am. They've never been shut out before in about the last 45 games, something like that. Coach told us, and we wanted to shut them out bad.
Okay, this was crabber weather, everybody's saying.
Yes, sir, crabber weather.
All right, we're going all the way?
Yes, sir, we're going to try to. Work hard in practice every day. Me squad workers, we'll go all the way.
Okay, buddy, great season so far, and 2 more games.
Thank you.
Okay, good job.
See you later.
Okay, now, Tim, Bob, back up to you where it's nice and warm.
You're right. Not only is it warm, but more importantly, it's dry. And again, a super job, AG. Thank you for those post-game interviews. Mike Smith, Todd Summers, Sherwood Jones, and others. So we're going to wrap this thing up real quickly for you. As I said, our congratulations to the Hampton Crabbers as Dwayne Murphy has led the offense with 3 3-yard touchdowns. Hyman with a 28-yarder, and Mike Houston with a field goal and some extra points. Bob, final thoughts as we wrap it up.
Well, Tim, I thought the game wouldn't be as wide open as Hampton come out the second half and proved that they've really got a potent offense. I thought that the defense of both teams had decent defenses, and of course we knew Hampton was a good defensive team, but I know that Kempsville didn't come over here with the idea that they were going to get beat. And surely not 30-0, get shut out first time in 44 games. But I tell you, I take my hat off that Hampton coaching staff. They get those young men ready. They're prepared when they come in. They know what to do. They execute well, and that's the key. And that's why Mike Smith has been very, very successful.
All right, Bob, again, for our entire crew tonight, Scotty Bowers, a super job directing tonight, and all of our camera people for enduring this wonderful weather we've had the last 3 games. The final score again from Todd Stadium, the Hampton Crabbers 30, the Kempsville Chiefs nothing, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and good night, everybody.